to the Food Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with Pete and Bryan. Dad Bodcast with. Welcome to the Food Dad Podcast with Pete and Bryan.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Full Dad Bodcast. I am Bryan.
And I am Pete. And this week's guest is a good friend of mine, Eugene Tawiah. Eugene, thank you for coming out, making the trip in from Jersey to us in the metro area. With the congestion pricing in effect.
Isn't that like paused for a moment? Like
No, it is not paused.
No,
No,
Trump
it's not.
said something.
No, you paid $9 to get here, plus it's all.
Yeah, plus it's all. Yeah. Actually, I got in this morning before 9, so I only paid like I think $225 or $250.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn! You
The
gotta
only
save
thing
money.
saving me, yeah.
Should have thought about that. Should have timed it.
Unless you get in before on the weekdays is before 5, which I'm like realistic. Who the hell's waking up to get into the city at that
Ain't
time?
happening. But
Yeah.
thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So, Eugene, if you want to, let everybody know, give us a little blurb intro about yourself. Tell us our thousands of listeners, or tens of millions of listeners,
Who you be?
Thank you. It's interesting. Like an intro, usually it's maybe I'm at some sort of industry event, right? So my intro is like really there. Here it's like, oh wait, a personal intro. I don't have a personal intro, but Eugene. Grew up in Queens, New York. Live in New Jersey now. Family of 4. Got 2 little ones, a boy and a girl. My girl just hit her teen years. Yeah. And work in the cybersecurity industry, and take care of my mom.
It's awesome. Is your mom living with you now? Or she's still in Queens.
No, I had to. She did live with me for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't live with me anymore.
Got it.
She's in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Got really hard.
Same exact
Really hard.
situation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dementia.
Oh,
from my mother-in-law.
Same. Yeah. Dementia and high blood pressure. Diabetic. Throw everything in there.
Yeah. Breast cancer. Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Similar.
So,
it was tough.
Yeah, I was trying to take care of her at home, and shoot, I don't know how I didn't lose my job because it was really hard. It was like a 24/7 thing, and strangely enough, when I was little, so my mom used to work in a nursing home. She was like, "Never put me in a nursing home. Tell me you'll never put me in a nursing home." I'm like, "Yes, Mom, I'm never gonna put you in a nursing home because you work in one, and I see how bad it is." And then fast forward, I'm like, "Shit, I really need to put her in a nursing home," and she made me say, "Don't put her in a nursing home." So it was the hardest thing for me to get to that point. The doctor was like, "Look, you can't do this. You need to put her in a nursing home." And I'm like, I can't. And I didn't tell anyone like, "Oh, she made me say yada yada." This is just something I was very aware of. So ultimately she's there, and kind of make up for it, I try to call her as often as I can. And Sundays, the day that you guys are lucky to have me, is the day that I pick her up. So I pick her up and I bring her over and we hang out for the day, and then I take her back, and that's kind of like my you know.
But I mean, I'm sure a lot of her needs you really can't meet. I mean, medical, all this other stuff. You need people who know what they're doing to.
100%. She's better there than with me, even though, right, I had time as a EMT and I have, my level of training to help her out. It's different when it's your mom, and you got to go prick her finger to check her blood sugar. I'm like, I'll do it to anyone else. But her, I'm like, I don't know. Oh, let me find the new spot. And she'll make a face, and I'm like, shoot, this is really hard to do. And then when dementia kicks in and they're trying to be like parent but talking about something far left field,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, and it's just your mom, so she's like, it wasn't working well. I needed to get angry at someone else because she thinks she's somewhere that she's not, versus so I feel you.
Yeah, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I went through this, especially during COVID, where she started forgetting things, and it was like little by little, and she was like, "Oh, I didn't eat dinner. No, I didn't eat." And then sometimes I'd have my food out, and I would go to the kitchen, and by the time I came back, she's like halfway done through my food, and I've gotten angry so many times that I was like, I can't get angry at her, and I mean, it got to a point where we had to give her up to a nursing home, and she went through 4 before the one she landed in right now, which has been good for the most part. But she's non-vocal. She doesn't remember. I mean, she didn't remember anything. She didn't remember she was married and she had kids. And we're like, here's a picture of you. It's black and white with your husband, and these are your 2 kids. So it's it's my wife's mom. and now she's kind of just there. She's in her bed. She doesn't walk. We can't take her home, unfortunately. I don't know if is your mom vocal?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Can she still walk?
Yeah, she's got a walker.
She got a walker. Okay, yeah,
I'm impatient, so I just put her in a wheelchair. I'm like, let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. But she gets around. For my mother-in-law, unfortunately, yeah, she's just in the nursing home. She doesn't really go anywhere, and I think right now it's sort of like a just time until she passes. So we've sort of accepted that, but we tried our best, and it isn't easy, man. When you're helping someone like go to the bathroom and you got to clean up after them, I dealt with that for like a year and a half, and we were like, I almost like lost my sanity. But I feel good that as a husband and as a dad, I did the best I could, because I was like, if this is my mother, my own mom, I would do the same thing.
I remember you telling me some of the things, and I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so challenging and hard. In the middle of the night, having to clean up all types of messes.
I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Like when I had to execute that power of attorney and deal with switching over accounts and whatever, like this country isn't set up for that. Like it's like power of attorney, great, but just to do things, they're like, well, can you put her on the line? I'm like, no, that's why I've got this power of attorney.
Yeah.
Well, we need to know that she knows her address. I'm like, she clearly doesn't know her address.
Yeah.
And
I'm like, if she was cognizant enough to know, then we would not be having this conversation.
Right? And then I get her on the line, like, all right, ma'am, so can you validate your address? And she wouldn't know, and she'd be like, that's why my son's on the line. I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm here, but I don't know, they want to. So I would kind of help her. I'm like, Henry's address. And I'm like, sir, you cannot help her.
Yeah, you can't
Sir,
interfere.
you cannot, and they would like disconnect the call.
Holy
So
shit.
it was just really bad. So then it gets to the point where I'm like, I'd ask my wife, I'm like, hey, jump on the call, just be my mom. So she'd get on like, hello, like do whatever. Like, is this what we got to do in order for me to like help
Social
my mom?
engineering now?
That is pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, you're like you're visioning over here.
Oh my God. Now I know I'd imagine something like taking care of your mom and everything. That's very visible, by your children. How did your children feel about that? Your mom, just like state.
Yeah, that's deep. They were definitely observers. I don't think I ever sat down and asked them, what do you think? That probably would have been a good thing to do in hindsight, and probably even now. I know they were watching everything, because there are moments where it's just like, you got to change her, right? And they're there like watching. They're like, just close the door.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
I know we're all family, but this, you don't need to see this, Or they'd smell something, like, just pretend you don't smell anything. So I'm sure, if anything, in terms of what they think, hopefully they get to see, hey, all right, you get old. And for some, they're old and they look all right, and some are old but need extra levels of assistance. And then, all right, here's Dad, and we're watching him take care of his mom. We're watching him, how he, moves around, and, and how others in the household help. So to this day, like when I bring her home, when I'm going to go grab her, I'll like, hey, I'm going to go get, Yama or whatever. And so they know to like set up her walker. They'll bring her inside shoes ready at the door. So like as soon as she comes in, it's just like conversion to home. They'll get the couch ready, all the things around. So I think they're taking it all right.
It seems like they're understanding what the situation is.
Yeah. Well, I think also that, I think just seeing, I'm assuming, that just seeing the compassion and tenderness that you're showing your mom, they in turn are learning that is the proper way and the right way to behave, and adopting those same behaviors.
Yeah.
So I think they're learning by example, which is an amazing thing.
Yep.
I'm sure they'll get to the point where it's like, I'm sure they'll think about this later on. And if your condition were to ever decline, they were like, well, I've seen this before. I got to take care of my parents. I know with like my son, he saw it and he was part of it. Because he's like just so involved. He's like all over the place, my son, and he really loved his grandmother. Still does. But I think he probably heard me say too many times between me and my wife, like, "Oh my God, this is like a pain. This is like a pain in the butt." And then one day he's like, "Where's Abuela? Where's Abuela?" He's like, "I know she's a pain in the butt, but where's Abuela?" I was like, you pick out of all the things that you could remember, it was like that one thing.
They're listening and watching all.
Yeah, I think, and he's somewhat. I think he somewhat understands that she doesn't remember him, or for most people, for the most part. And now he sees her, I don't know, maybe every month or so. He'll go up and to the nursing home, and the nursing home is so like, you go up there for a few minutes, you got to get your mask on, you got to do this and that, and my mom will visit, my wife will visit and will feed her and everything like that, and he'll go up sometimes to see her, but yeah, it's sort of like, he's like, where's Abuela? Those questions are always like a little sad, because it's like, well, she can't be here, we can't take care of her anymore. It's tough.
Did he have a relationship for both kids? I mean, I'm assuming both of those mother or those grandmas, were they in their lives beforehand, or like did he have a good relationship with her? And same with your kids, did they know her, or did they just know her being sick?
It's funny. I think it's tough, right? Because I look at even myself, who grew up with my mom. I'm having trouble remembering the good days. Right. I'm remembering, my mom in these states, right? Those are what's forefront of my memory. So whereas maybe my son much earlier on, I don't think he's had too much of that good relationship. I mean, she wasn't as bad as she is now, but still he caught her on the decline. My daughter as well, maybe she got a little bit of it when my mom was good. And able to move around and do things. So cool, my daughter has that, but I wonder, given that much of her growth has been my mom on the decline, and now, what does she really remember? So I kind of feel as though for kids, they kind of remember the post, right? Yeah. So I've printed photos of my mom and the kids during like the good days, and I've got that around on the digital frame. But even that, even myself, I need to go back to old photos, and it's not like now where you got 50 million photos on a phone. You could bring them up at any time, right? You got the photo that you developed that, maybe somebody has some, you've got a few. So I look at those every now and then to try to remember, but even then it's not, like selfies wasn't a thing back then, really. You weren't like, winding the camera to point it and be like, it's good. And if you did, you needed 4 of those because chop the head off and all. So there isn't a lot of that. But I do let my kids know that I'm investing in you so that you can take care of yourself. And only when you're able to take care of yourself, then if I have a need when I'm older, I'll be looking to you to take care of me, right? Obviously, I've learned a lot taking care of my mom to make sure that they don't encounter the same hardships that I went through. Or decisions like, how do we do this and how we manage that? Like, I'm setting up all those things so they don't have the issue, but I don't know how my brain's going to operate. They might need to make some decisions, or, somebody pretend dad's on the line, be like, hello, in order to make things happen. So I do let them know that I'm leaning on them, that at some point in time, I might need help.
Yeah, I think that's probably, especially for you guys experiencing it, even for me hearing about it, and I feel like for me, it's one of those fears. I'm like, fuck, man, I want to go out in a blaze of glory. Like, going out, there's so many times I think to myself, like, if I get to that point, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, there's that suicide egg or whatever. I'm like, yo, I was like, I don't want to be like that. I was like, that's not how I want to like end my days. Yeah. So I'm like, what alternatives are there? Which sounds morbid, but I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah. Is like the whole Kevorkian thing, is that legal, not legal? What's the status on that from a long time ago?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think like assisted suicide, that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
It was called, yeah. I don't know. I remember a couple years ago, I remember seeing that guy who had this like that egg thing. It was kind of shaped like an egg. You sort of go in and like, I'm not sure if it was like gases or something, go in there, just kind of sedate you and knock you out, and then you pass that way. And I'm like, doesn't seem that bad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say, but to have so many years of your parent alive, but not in the correct mental state for so long, that's far more worse than, your parent loses a leg and you got to wheel them around, but their brain is there. Like, losing the brain and having them be around, that's torture, So
because it's not a real loss. I mean,
yeah.
It's like one of those things that I'm assuming if someone passes away, they pass and you mourn them. But when they're in that state, you can't really mourn them because they're still here, but they're not that person. Like they're not the person you remember. They're not your mom. They're not your dad. They're not that role, that person you grew up loving and knowing. And
It's torture. It's painful. It's hard. Emotional roller coaster, the whole nine, everything. So once again, I don't wish any aspect on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
So.
That caring for a parent like that or anyone it takes a toll on you, man. I was like, I always think, I was like, how many years of my life did I lose, like waking up and just cleaning shit on the floor, on the carpet, like changing her. I've given her like complete showers. I was like, oh my God. And I'm like, I'd do anything for her because I really love my mother-in-law. But I was like, yo, I'm like, yeah, I chop 5 years automatically. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just like, my expiration date is now a little bit sooner.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think to myself, my mom my isn't at that stage yet, but my mom, I grew up with my mom having severe mental illness. I guess she was, diagnosed as being paranoid, schizophrenia with delusions. So it was like, a rough childhood, but now she's on like very heavy medicines. And I never really thought about it because it was just the status quo for me most of my life. From like when in my preteens, she got locked up when I was young for some fucking, child abuse shit like that. But when she came out, she was on heavy medicine. So from my preteens on, she was like, I had to interact with her, but she was like a shell of a person. She wasn't the person that I remember. And I never really thought about it, give it much thought, till, which I think I mentioned before, is one time my son says to me, he asked me, he's like, because we go to see my mom maybe 2-3 times a year, and my grandmother is still there, like my mom's mom. And she's very, she's still, very feisty for her age. I think she's in her mid 80s, late 80s. Puerto Rican women. She's she wasn't a fucking warm and fuzzy grandma. She was a grandma that would smack the shit out of you if you got out of line. So, but she's still now she's nice and she's old and feeble, so she's like nice now. So
no choice.
No choice, or else she's gonna catch his hands. But so and she's the one who's has more of an interaction with Hunter and my son, talk to him, is very affectionate with him. But my mom, because of her medicines, is kind of like a shell. She doesn't really talk. When she talks, it's very monotone. Hello, how are you? When we go see her, she maybe says 20, 30 words during the couple hours that we're there, and then we just sort of leave. And so he asked me, he's like, oh, how come? And I never really thought about it till he said it. He's like, how come grandma never has any feelings in her face? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, when we go see her, she never looks happy. She never looks sad. She never has angry. Her face is almost like there's no feeling or no an emotion in her face. And I was like, and when he said it, I was like, it rocked me. I was like, holy shit. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I was like, and then I had to explain to him as well I could, and kind of not explain everything, but sort of insulate him and say, well, she has mental illness, and that's kind of when you have a disease, but it's in your brain, so your brain doesn't really work. And he sort of understands that because he has ADHD, and and myself and his mom explained to him how, and he has Tourette's, so how brains can act a little different, and everyone's a little different the way their brain works. And then I'm like, oh, and I had to kind of explain how she has to take these medicines that kind of dim her light, she's like a light that you have to dim. So she's on, but it's just enough to get a little bit of light, but you really can't be who you are and be bright. So I think he understood that, but it's interesting because now I think to myself, what happens when she gets older, and that her health hasn't been impacted me yet, but I would think to myself, what happens when she's older? How do I navigate that? Especially being a son who, I was taken away from my mom when I was 7. And then I saw her in my preteens, and then then from that point on, it's I see her every so often. So I'm I think to myself what happens later on? When I take care of her, how is she going to evolve? What happens? And it's a concern that I have. I haven't faced that yet, but I wonder how am I going to navigate those situations, along with having to help her with her issues, along with also trying to reconcile all the other shit that went on when I was a kid. So
not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Not easy by any means.
So, yeah, I think, when I hear you guys, I'm like, holy shit, it's it's a tough road. But hopefully I'm up to the task, and hopefully, hearing these conversations will help me navigate those roads when I get to it.
It's tough, man. It's not, for someone that, like my mother-in-law who used to take care of Zach, of my kid, all these years until, we just started noticing, her decline in health and her memory. And we were like, yeah, she can't take care of him. She's gonna like forget him. She'll leave him somewhere, you know.
Yeah, it becomes like a liability.
I'm like, oh no, we can't do that anymore.
But also, I remember you telling me that you guys had to put a lock on the inside of the house, which I'm like, in itself is a fucking fire hazard.
Yeah.
You're like, fire happens, like, you guys are fucking cooked.
It's it's an alarm. So as soon as you open the door, and sometimes I would forget, so I'm leaving the house in the morning, and that thing goes off, and it scares the shit out of me, and I'm like, oh shit, like what's going on? But I've heard it in the middle of the night, and she's standing by the door trying to leave, and she's left several times where she comes back hours later. She's like in the middle of the rain, in the middle of the winter, no jacket, and it's the scariest thing because I wake up and the first thing we got to check for is like, yo, where's Jacqueline? Where's Jackie? And I go, she's not there, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, Zach, everyone has to wake up because we all have to leave, the house together. Yeah, and to this day I still have that alarm. And I don't use it I don't turn it on anymore. I'm sure the battery's dead, but I was like, I think it was like a reminder to myself.
For me, it's we have the pantry, and there's like the linen, closet, but it also has a few shelves in there for, medicines and thing. So yeah, that door, the handle itself has got like a little combination on it. So you gotta, combo your way in to open the pantry door, because she would go in. Remember, she's diabetic.
Oh yeah,
and she would snack. Like
go in on like the candies.
Yeah, tons of and then her sugar would spike, and then I wouldn't know that she was snacking, and next thing I'm checking her sugar, I'm like, holy shit, it's so high.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And that would lead to issues and 911 calls. I think I lost track of how many times I had to dial, and I'd have EMS at my door, and they all show up, and your neighbors are like looking like, oh,
of course, man,
at that house over there.
Yeah.
So we had the locks on that and on the pantry door, because she would just feel like she needs it. I have a headache. Let me go take some medicine for that. Oh, I have this. Let me go take some medicine for that. Oh, this looks interesting. Let me take that. And
yeah.
It's like you can't be doing that.
You're gonna OD.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess at some point, I realize it's sort of part of the course for us, like, especially at our age. But I'm like you said, it's unfortunate that this country makes it immensely harder than it has to be.
Yeah. I think for folks who haven't gone through it yet, who think they may go through it, is all that estate planning that your job's probably telling you should do. Just run your parents through it. Make sure they have that power of attorney. Make sure they have that living trust. Make sure they have that will. Make sure they have that healthcare directive. Make sure the life insurance policies are outside of their name, right? Any funds, money that they have, and start pulling it out of their name now. Because should you need to go into a nursing home, it's one of two ways. Either A, you got a shit ton of dough. Your parents are not in nursing home, right? You got private care, this, that, and the other.
Or you're the other 99% of the population.
Yeah, right. In which case, the state's going to be like, well, you're not broke enough. Yeah. You were able to afford rent and a cheeseburger. So therefore, you make too much money to qualify for this nursing home. But we see here that you've got a life insurance policy. Yes. Why don't you go sell that, get rid of that, so that we could get that cash value? Oh, you got like assets. You go sell all of that stuff. You got a savings account? Yeah, no, let's, we're going to have to tap that, and they will go 5 years back. Right. So if you're not ready for that day, not that anyone is ready, like, oh, shoot, I need to go into a nursing home. Right. But, you never know. Yeah. So take assets and things out of her name and put them somewhere else. And then you manage that to take care of her, and so that when that time comes, the state and the government don't just come grab and leave her with nothing in order for her to be able to get in.
I know, just from our conversation, that you're very financially responsible and have a lot of, I think, finances and and planning has been a big thing for you. Have you done that for yourself?
I have. I'll say that it took her to really speed that up. I was always like, oh, I need to do these things, but I didn't. But as soon as I had to go through it with her, I did it. I went out and I got my will. I got my living will. I got all that was necessary. Some business dealings or in trusts. I set all that stuff up and moved it out. Created documentation so that anyone, whether it be kids, wife, whoever, knows exactly where things are and what my wishes are. So I've definitely gone through those planning steps. Yeah.
Taking notes because I'm like, oh shit. Right after this, I'm like, all right, let me start planning.
Yeah, I think that's
You
an
know?
important thing that most people overlook because I guess people never really want to think about their own mortality, but it's like it's gonna happen to everybody.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, look, it could somehow. You could. I was talking to a buddy of mine. He was walking through streets in New York, just tripped and fell. Boom! Now he's in a sling, right? Anything could happen. Your knee, right? Something happens. Who knows? Maybe now you're in, a nursing home because you need that everyday care. Maybe it's a little too much for your partner or whoever might, to take care of you. So it's not, or like what we were talking about earlier, where you're awake, you're there, but you're not, right? And you need someone to take care of you. So for all of those things, I definitely need, to put some fun aside and do those planning and get those things signed and legalized and just put it in a folder and just make sure everybody knows where it is. Everyone has a copy of it and just hope that time doesn't come.
Yeah. And hopefully, I guess if they have to follow the same, you end up in a similar situation or even remotely close to it, their path might be a little easier.
Whoever, for me, the path will definitely be easier, right? So, like all my passwords are there, right? There's that fail safe for that, password vault. So they'll get to that and they could do whatever and act as me, and those documents are
Your
there.
crypto wallet, with the millions of dollars of Bitcoin is in there.
That's right.
Maybe not a billion now, but
well, they're lost on that one because I don't even know the password to that wallet, so they're just as screwed. But hopefully by then, we've got quantum computing and AI, and that'll crack it for them. And be like, "Yo, we got his $10 of Bitcoin back when he bought it at 25 cents, or whatever." Right? You're like, "Oh, I don't have any assets. I don't have any money." You know what? Look, my mom was a single parent in Queens. Right, but she had something. She was thinking like, oh, one day, maybe I'll die, and this life insurance will go to my kids. Right, I'm sure they probably sold it to her that way as some sort of guaranteed, payout. And the state was like, yeah, no, not happening. Cash that out. We want it.
I'm telling you, the government, they want their money.
Yeah,
they'll find it.
Yeah. She had her peanuts in a savings account. And they're like, no, we want that too. Give it back.
They're like that mattress that your mom had in the house. We know there's money in there too.
The shoebox.
Yeah, the shoebox. Yeah, with the money stuffed in it.
Oh my God.
I mean, I've also thought of other ways to leave things to my kids, right? Art,
tax haven
watches. Yeah, right. So when you look at and you fill out these forms, if I didn't tell you that there's a Mona Lisa, in the house, you don't know, right? And hey, now my kids have that.
It's the Mona Lisa underneath that
Good.
painting of like the dogs playing cards.
Yeah.
So you gotta rip it.
You gotta rip it first. So I've been looking at other things that kind of hold value, or slightly appreciate in value that I could put, and then have other means, for the kids to hold on to. So done that.
Are your kids aware of that you've gone through this process of like your will and
Nope.
trust and stuff like that?
No.
I think they're still too young, right?
Yeah, too young, and I don't know. Maybe I want to take it away.
Act up. Oh, man.
maybe. I don't want them to know. And
Is it a conversation you think you would have once they reach legal age 18?
it's a conversation that I did not want to hear with my mom. So I don't know if they'd be different. I know there was some points where my mom's like, "Hey, I got this folder, and these things are in it, and at some point in time, you're gonna need to whatever." And that whole coming to grip with mortality of your parents' death, I did not want to hear it. I did not want to be a part of any of my mom's future planning for when she goes and what I'm going to need to do. I tuned out every one of those conversations. Teen years, 20s, maybe around 30s, I was kind of like, but even then I still wasn't. I'm like, look, I'm the youngest of three. Make that their problem. Like, I got an older brother, like, let him do it, not me. So I didn't want to hear it. So I'll need to be receptive to that when I do have that conversation with the kids. Like, hey, by the way, yada, 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 anything could happen. Here's where stuff is. For now, it'll just be that folder. And if it happens, then hey, now's the time where you educate, right? I think I have to take my Pornhub password out of that, but you know, yeah, it'll be there for them. I hopefully will be able to share with them a little bit of the plans and things, and like right now they don't know that I've got college savings or anything for them. Just like, oh, y'all need scholarships. Like you need to write some papers and do well in school, but when the time comes, then yeah, they'll be aware.
Well, I think also, I think it's probably a good tactic because on some level, I'm sure you don't want them to just be dependent on that and not kind of forge their own path and their own way. So it's there as like a safety net, or like not even safety. It's there when to be available to them. But it's probably better that they don't know, so they realize, oh shit, I have to get my shit together and bust my ass a little bit to accomplish what I want to do.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was talking to a buddy of mine too, another parent, and I was like, oh, I'm going to leave my house to the kids and what all these things that I'm going to leave to the kids. And he's like, well, like when are you really going to, like, how old are they going to, like, think about how old they're going to be when you actually like leave it to them, right? So think about how old you are now. Your parents are still alive. Imagine if they had a house. By the time maybe they pass, you're like in your 50s or who knows what, when they're passing some, like, shit, man, I've already forged my own path. I've already done my own thing. I don't need it anymore.
I don't want that responsibility.
That's right. So, yeah, I've been thinking about that too and picking up some other means of ways to give to them that's not just all on like, yeah, I'm going to leave them this house. It's going to be worth a lot. So
it is. I think it's a lot to consider when you have children, especially when you come from a certain upbringing, that you want to give them everything that you didn't have. Like I heard this joke years ago that every pair of Jordans I buy my son is a sorrow I had as a childhood. And I kind of laughed. I was like, oh shit, that's kind of funny, because like it's something like growing up culturally, Jordan's such a big fucking thing and so expensive, and then now you're like, and I see all these people buying their sons Jordans nonstop. And I did it for a little while too. And I realized, oh yeah, I'm just trying to compensate for things I didn't have as a kid. But then you realize, like, is that detrimental, or is that like, how's that going to affect them in the long term? Are they just going to be entitled little shits, or are they going to be able to, like, if you still follow that same pattern, or are they going to kind of like, get their shit together and realize that they have to forge their own way in this world, and I'll help them along the way. Yeah. So I guess it's like that careful balance but I think that also goes down to kind of a more deeper conversation about how, as an adult, you reconcile all the shit that happened to you as a kid and how you handle it as an adult, and how you either you reconcile it or come to grips with it, or you sort of ruminate, and it sort of has, well, maybe not ruminate, but maybe it still lingers in the back of your head.
I think that's true. I think there's a way, there's good and bad in both of that. I look at ways in which I did things because I didn't have it, right, to provide to my kids. Surprisingly, some of the no's in life that stick with you throughout. So when I was a kid, I the rich kids had a Power Wheel. I had this 3-wheel little thing, with pedals and for the front wheel. I mean, that was cool, but I wanted a Power Wheel. Like, you just push your foot down and the thing moves. And I was never able to get one. So for me, my daughter's like 3 or 2, I don't know, whatever. There's no way she's driving the Power Wheel. I bought the Power Wheel.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, this is your birthday gift, the Power Wheel. It's all right. I think by the time she was actually able to start driving, like, the battery was dead. Needs to like buy a new battery, yeah. Right. So, and then we were living in a neighborhood where I'm like, well, now you need space to drive the Power Wheel. So then, I'm like, well, let's move. We need more land so that she could drive her Power Wheel. And then went from there. I got a go-kart and I got all these things, but it was because I didn't have it. And I wanted her to have it. So there's a piece of me that just wants to give them everything. And then there's a piece of me that wants to hold back because I don't want them to be spoiled, right? Like, shoot, like, I had to work for this, but you also need to, you look at some, foreigners come into the country and they know, hey, there isn't a lot of opportunity where we just came from. There's a lot of opportunity here, and it seems like the natives here aren't taking advantage of this. So they'll put their kids through Kumon and all these other educational things and tutors and blah, 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 and music lessons and whatever, and push, so that their kids have a lot of opportunity and take advantage of all that's here for them. You know, I kind of struggle with my own in terms of like how much of that do I really do versus not do. And then you hear from, you know, Chris Rock. I don't know if you heard his stand-up special about how, you know, his kids and how he spoils them. He's like, my kids are spoiled, you know. And I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I'm trying to act like as if I don't have all of that. Right? They're like, oh, Dad, can you buy this? I'm like, no, I'm broke. I don't have money for that. I'm like, man, I'm freaking lying. Totally get you that. I get the whole rack, you know. But trying to let them know like money isn't always available, right? And you can't just have anything you want. With the balance of, I do want to give you everything, but I do want you to chart your own course and find your way through life. And, oh, by the way, let's drive by Queens and let me take you to the neighborhood I grew up in and let me show you that. Look, you see any trees? No, there's no trees, just pavement. You see a park? No, there's no park, right?
Concrete, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's right.
The pull-ups on the crossing sign,
on the scaffolding.
You see this garbage alley right here is where I got jumped, you know? So it's a constant struggle between, you know, giving but not giving too much so that they don't feel like they have it easy. So if there's some sort of hardship where it's like, oh, you know, I didn't have, I don't know, there was a point I'm like, I'm not going to get them a cell phone, right? Maybe they'll get mad at that and be like, oh, I'm going to work hard so I can get a cell phone. And then who knows, maybe they'll buy their kids a cell phone when they're like 1.
Yeah.
My father never got me a cell phone.
I never had a cell phone when I was a kid.
You know, but then I'm like, yeah, I tie that back, right? I'm in cybersecurity field, and a lot of that was an early childhood hobby. So I don't know, maybe I'm robbing by scaling back their internet and things and cell phone. I might be pulling them away from some future, you know, achievement. Right. So then I break down and I get them a cell phone.
You know, it's interesting. I had this very same thought a couple weeks ago because, you know, I guess, I mean, I don't know about your kids, but I know like my kid, I know, you know, me and Bryan talk about it, how like there's like this fucking crackhead addiction to video games and to like the, you know,
the screen.
The
screen.
Roblox or whatever it is. Like these kids are like little junkies. And it for my son, it takes up a lot of his time and it's like a battle. And luckily he has extracurricular activities that he does. So to offset that. But then I thought, you know, thinking to myself, I was like, as a kid, I was on a computer for a while. And my dad, you know, was a hardware vendor. So I kind of got into computers younger. And that's sort of how I got into the IT, you know, industry. And that's what garnered my interest. But I thought to myself, in the future, there's going to be AI. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. I'm like, am I hindering him, or am I just kind of like, you know, if I take it away, is he not going to be like? He was saying how one of his friends was using. I guess, you know, in the schools they use Google Workspace, and I guess they'll have now. It comes with a Gemini license. So one of his friends, yeah, like one of his, like, you know, his friends, his Japanese friend Soda, who was like, you know, it's a really interesting kid. I like the kid. But he's like a little, you know, it's interesting, but he's very like, you know. Like I see him, he just talks to me like, you know, it's like talking to him, like one of his friends.
You the homie?
Yeah. I'm like, hey, what's up, Soda? But he's like, oh yeah, Soda's using, you know, the AI to help him with his homework. I'm like, this motherfucker. I was like, why aren't you doing the same thing? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, get on that shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the future, my dude.
Oh my God.
But then I think to myself, because I'm always like, get off the screens, you know, going to the park, you know, trying to do things that are more outside or more physical, you know, physical activities. But then I'm like, well, the future is like the landscape, or like, you know, the horizon is much different than mine. I'm like, the way our life is, I'm like, I don't even know what it's gonna be like. I mean, I think it's talking about like neural, you know, like connections with neural chip, you know, connected like Neuralink. That's what it is. You know, like and then we're gonna have, and instead of cell phones, it's just gonna be implanted in us, and then we're gonna have this collective, you know, this collective consciousness. Like, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen? Yep. AI is gonna just take over.
We don't know what the jobs of tomorrow are.
Yeah, a lot of them are going to go away. Yep. Even now, I mean, I think people like coders. I know someone who's a copywriter, and she's like, oh yeah, you know, we hear it all the time that AI is going to start, you know, taking away the jobs. I'm like, yeah, it is, because this thing can generate more content in a minuscule amount of time that it'll take you. Yeah. I'm like, you know, they can do it in a fraction of a second, what it'll take you a week to do. I'm like, yeah. The world is changing, and it's changing really, really fast. So how do you make sure that your kids are up to the task to navigate that what the future may bring?
That's another area in which I'm very conflicted on. I think I just heard you say, you know, you told your son to like use AI. Whereas I'm a strong believer of in the future, those who will be employed are those that know how to use AI, right?
Yes.
Those who don't are the ones who won't be employed. But with my kids, I feel like they're too young to use it because it's too powerful, right? A teacher could say, hey, read Tom Sawyer, blah, blah, I don't know, whatever, read a book, and write a little paper on chapter 1 or chapter 2 about whatever. And with the right prompt, hey, write this for me, but at a, 7th grade level. By the way, this is my personality, and here's a sampling of how I currently write, and yada, yada. That paper will come out, and I won't even know, right? And the teacher won't even know. But then on that, did she learn how to write, right? Her command of the English language isn't fully there yet. Yeah, she's got a good vocabulary, and she could talk, but is it fully there yet? It's almost like, why don't we give people a calculator right out the gate? Right, we want you to learn 2 + 2 and your basic arithmetic and things, and then after you get to a certain point, then it's like, all right, here's your calculator, right? And then we want you to learn the next step of things, and then after a certain point, here's your scientific calculator, right? You get that TI 85, and then we want you to learn a certain thing, and then beyond that, we give you MATLAB, right, and some other things, and we give you some tools. So I feel as though they need to learn those basics, how to communicate, how to write a paper, all these different things, and then we'll give you the tool. But unfortunately, because I can't give her a calculator and then a TI 85 and then a MATLAB, it's like, here's a supercomputer, like,
Take all of this, yeah.
you get well more than you would hope. Like, there's no limits. It'd be great if, like, maybe AI or
A dumbed
generative
down
AI.
mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, look, this is for a 13-year-old. So just explain her homework to her, but don't give her everything, or like, here are the limits. Let me put some in there. That would be great. Then I'd be more apt to allowing them to use it. But as it stands now, I've got them on their own Wi-Fi, and ChatGPT is blocked.
Nice. Yeah, you got to find that balance between assistance and it doing all the work for you, and that line right there is almost like non-existent.
It is very conflicting, like you said, because you don't know what's the right path. Because in the future, who knows if those skills are going to be relevant?
Yeah, right.
Because if we're all just like, we don't even have to speak. Let's say in 15, 20 years, us speaking the way we are speaking now won't even exist, because we're all sort of connected. I could just think, and you can understand exactly what I'm thinking, exactly what I'm saying, perfectly, without me having the need to form it into this like monkey language that we speak.
Yeah, you're 2,000% right, and that is a problem, because if I look at my upbringing, my mom used to, like, I was lucky enough to get a computer at a really young age, but she would block me from it. She'd like take away the keyboard and the mouse, and punish me. Mind you, those days, computers and things, technology wasn't what it is now. There wasn't a term cybersecurity, right? I don't even know if there was a term IT, well back in those early days. And I look at it now and I'm like, well, all that time I spent there is why I'm able to do what I'm doing now. It pays the bills and affords me this, life that I'm very thankful for. By me blocking them for generative AI and AI, what future how am I holding them back from their future that I'm not aware of, the same way my mom wasn't aware of the future, 20 plus years from back then. So I do struggle with that quite a lot in terms of, do I give them access? Do I not? How much? Because it's one thing to say, sure, here's access, but just don't use it to do your homework, right? They're going to use it to do their homework.
It's like,
they're going to do the exact opposite of that. Yeah.
There's no parental guardrails you can put in. It's all or nothing. And the even crazier part is, for us, like you said, you're talking about a computer. That was my first entrance to technology, was having, a 386, 486, a big fucking tower, a shitty-ass giant monitor, and a keyboard and mouse. But now, there's no need for even like something that big. It's like 6 inches, 6 by 3, and you have a cell phone, and you have all the power, all the information you could ever need is like right there in your pocket. You can access it within seconds.
you know what I remember growing up having a computer, and like your friends would come over to your house and you all would gather around the computer because it was like the only one. It was like the only thing. And now you can't do that.
No.
It's like, yo, let's get on like YouTube and watch these funny videos, you know, with the cats or whatever, or like go to meme, you know, websites. And now it's just like, you know, you meet up with your boys or whatever, and everyone's like this, just on their phone.
We noticed I equate that too. So I remember, you know, like when you hear movies about or you hear stories from like the previous generation, they say, oh yeah, you know, this one kid in the neighborhood was the only one who had a TV or one that had a radio. Yeah. So everyone came and they gathered around and listened to like, you know, when they listened to like the shows on the radio, and not every single family could afford it. So whoever, you know, your friends, you know, people would commune together and maybe and hang out together and listen to these shows. Like, what is it? Like the
like
show?
dramas or
Like, yeah, like, you know, it was like a
war
cowboy
dramas?
show. Like, you know, like Zorro. I don't remember what it was, but I remember as a kid hearing about it and listen, it was on the radio. That's how that was their entertainment. And it's the same thing now. In our generation, it's like now computers.
Yeah.
But now what's next? I'm like, you know, I see kids now they meet
Virtual,
online,
yeah,
they virtually, they play. There's no, I mean, Hunt's, luckily my son plays baseball now and he's like out physically and he's out talking with kids, which I love, even though he's not very good right now. You know, he's not, but I saw him, I was looking at him, you know, he's in the dugout talking, they're joking around. I'm like, that's fucking awesome. He's like building those social skills that may help him in the future. But I'm like, who knows if he'll even need them, because everything will just be, you know, like through like a screen or just, you know, like through my mind. I'm like,
yeah, a little headset
yeah.
you put on your.
Or not even that, like some kind of like collective, you know, communication tool. I just think, and you just know. I'm like, hey, Bryan, you know what I'm thinking.
Like,
right away, you can respond, and we don't even have to talk anymore.
Damn. You thinking we'll get to that point in your lifetime?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I mean, I'm not sure how adopted it will be. I think that capability will exist. I don't know if anyone's going to adopt it. I think it may be the next generation but the generation after will definitely. I think everything kind of takes that time to get adopted. Yeah. Like computers were slow, and then now, I mean, kids. I mean, he has a computer, but he uses his phone more than he uses the computer because it's like easily accessible. He can
convenient.
Just be in the
Yeah.
car. Yeah, it's for convenience. So, and just think of how much. I mean, it's not that much time that's passed since computers to cell phones. If you
True.
think of like, if you really think about the history of technology, I mean, 100 years ago, people were still fucking riding horses. You know what I mean? The cars even exist 100 years ago? I don't think so. And now look where we have like all types of crazy vehicles, you know, all types of like, you know.
We got EVs, we got hydrogen powered cars, we got this.
With the capability to travel at these ridiculous speeds. Something that like if you think of horsepower came from one horse. One motherfucker was on a horse. Now our car is like, 800 horsepower.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, think about it. So if you look back to the, your first computer, your 82, 86, imagine, the person next to you, or you got your car and it's, 200 horsepower, and you're like, yo, imagine like in the future, you think in your time, the car will drive itself.
Yo, Knight Rider.
Imagine, yeah, right. Like, hey, yo, what if this Knight Rider car was real?
Exactly.
And it drove itself, and imagine if it ran on batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so look at you, be like, yo, you stupid, man, you stupid.
Yeah.
You high or something?
Yeah,
What you on, man?
exactly.
You
Yeah.
bugging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no one's gonna take you seriously.
Those are like weed conversations. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah, man, imagine.
The funniest thing about that comment is that so I have a Rivian, an R1S. It's an electric vehicle. Last Halloween they had the Knight Rider theme, and you can play it for I think 30 days. It's very limited. You can't play it while you're moving. You have to be parked. But all the screens were turned into the buttons and all like that, and it would play the theme and the lights. You can see the lights on the headlights. It would go back and forth. It was amazing. But look, this is where we are.
But that's what happens. I think what we imagine is just think of cell phones. Probably conceptually came from Star Trek and the little communicators they used to use. Even how they were used, they would sort of flip it open and start talking into it. I'm like, that's exactly how the Motorola flip phones, like the Razr or whatever, was it had that same mechanism to flip it open to start talking and doing whatever you're doing. So it's only a matter of time. Now it's going to be an implant or a fucking chip I just put into my brain, and then that's it.
You blink twice, make a phone call, something like that.
Or I just see the world instead of having a screen. I just see it through my vision. I can look around.
Or
I'll know your name or whatever,
yeah.
all your information. I can just look around, know where I'm at. It'll have that augmented reality interface, and there you go.
I'm really sad that we're also a problem to things moving forward, because you're saying all of that, and I'm thinking, I had Google Glass, you know. I mean, I was called names and other things, and I got rid of it. But I remember for the time that I had it, I could walk through Manhattan, look at a building, and it would tell me all the details about the building, and then it would even show me what that building looked like, you know, whatever 50 years ago or 100 years ago when horses were roaming around Manhattan. I thought that was amazing. I loved that augmented reality part of what it was able to do on a tiny little, you know, dot that it was there. But, you know, we shot that down as a consumer economy.
I mean, I think but I think that if it becomes more more conspicuous or inconspicuous, then I think it'll be adopted. If you just had it in your head, you could look around, and you didn't have 'cause I remember those Google Glasses were kind of big and a little bulky, and you could tell what they were. So you're like, oh, wait, what the hell is that? So, and also I think people in general are so adverse to change. It's I mean, I had this conversation with one of my neighbors, and she was like, oh, all this stuff about AI, whatever. I was like, it's gonna happen. I was like, it's inevitable. And she's like really against it. I'm like, but the same argument has been made since Greek mythology, when they're saying, was it Prometheus? He was like banished or whatever for giving fire to the humans or to man. Is that Prometheus? I don't know, whatever the Greek mythology is. I can't remember the name off. Yeah, fact checking. Where as far back as we go, fire was the first technological innovation, and then this God gave it to man, and it's gonna be the downfall of man. But then fire was what prompted all these other advancements, and and helped civilization evolve and become further along. So I think it's a theme that is not just today; it's always been like that, and people are always think, oh, this is gonna be the next adverse thing, or this is gonna be have a negative impact, and I'm sure it does. I mean, from fire, there's a lot of war and death and burning and that came from it, but it also helped people cook food and know how to not die from parasites because they were able to cook their food, and also create heat so people could live longer and not freeze to death. So these things that were constantly we needed to evolve further, and it's never going to stop until I don't know, who knows, until maybe World War III and we're all dead anyway.
Yeah. But, I heard you comment there about resistant, and I started thinking more about that. I'm like, you know what? I think this generation, millennials in it, whatever you want to call it, the ones that are coming forward, that are growing up with technology, are going to be less of a naysayer than our generation, or even before our generation. In the sense that they grew up with it. So if you add it to something, they're going to be like, oh, why are you doing that? I bought a truck. I got a Ford F-350, and I was on Facebook community talking to some folks about some features that I didn't have, and like, oh, why do you want cruise control? Like, who uses that? I never use cruise control. I'm like, I think I wanted dynamic cruise control, right? Because I have a Tesla. I have a Tesla Model X, and I'm used to that so much that I kind of wanted as close to what I can get with the Ford, and this truck community is very against me. Why would you want technology in this car? I'm like, why would you not?
Yeah.
Why everyone gets caught in their own?
Why do you want
moment?
one pedal driving? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But it is so it is so prevalent. Everybody gets stuck in their own coolest moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to be thinking the way they did it, the way even in art and culture and technology, it's the way we do it. And I think even in the next generation, there may be some new innovation that they're like, oh no, this is too much. We've gone too far. Yeah. And then their kids would be like, look at these fucking old fucks. You guys don't know what's up. Yeah. And then the next generation will start, and it'll be the next iteration of whatever society has, and and what
it just repeats itself.
Exactly.
They have the feature where the tablet follows you around like the Baby Yoda did. In,
yeah.
I'm like, why do you need that? Like, why don't you just hold it?
Yeah, exactly.
I used to hold it during my generation, my day.
I equate that to music. I hear every generation they think, oh, this is not real music. It's hippity hoppity. That's the weird thing. Now it's actually
this is not rap.
It's not rap.
Garbage.
Yeah, exactly. Now there's and there's different versions of it, and I'm like, yo, dude, you have to really try hard to not get stuck in your own coolest moment and just see things for what they are, and hopefully, I guess maybe there's times I go back and forth, but I try to adopt more of an optimistic and more, maybe it might be a little romanticizing of humanity, but we'll figure it out and we'll be okay. But there's other days where I'm like, fuck, man, we're fucked. and like I hope we make it.
There's way too much of that trying to fit everybody into everyone's personal box, right? That whole group think. So we do a lot of camping. We're out there, and folks would post like, "Oh, I got to get a generator, to keep my, my travel trailer." And then you'll see the comments like, "Why do you need a generator? Like, who uses that? Turn it off. Oh, you're disturbing your neighbor." And or someone's like, "Hey, I think I even made something where I wanted to start a campfire." Like, "Oh, you can't start a campfire. Like, what makes you think you can start a campfire?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Because out here, you can start a campfire. Some drier areas out west, probably not a thing that they're used to. But there's definitely this group think where people just think in their bubble of how they experience camping, and everyone else needs to fit and experience camping that same way. And if you do it differently, then something's wrong with you, or they don't understand it.
It's like the othering.
No, I haven't seen that. What's
No,
that?
I'm saying the othering of people. Like, those people, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
those,
always
yeah.
like, same kind of thing. It's like, oh, I'm in my group, and this is like an other. You're deviating from what the group should do. It's fucking stupid.
That's how you get into that. All those.
This isn't the
NIMBY
apocalypse.
conversations.
Yeah, exactly.
It is unfortunate that mindset is running so rampant in our society, and I don't know if it's just right now because it's the time I'm living in, and I can't see it through the perspective of like maybe the older generation. I feel like no, everyone is like so stuck in their own fucking little thing, like like left, right, green, this, that, whatever. I'm like, everyone's like, if you're not in a certain group, then like you're other, and then it's like, either you're. I mean, I feel like I have friends from sort of both sides of the political spectrum, and I see some of their posts, and some people are like, all these, like they either say all these people are Nazis, all these people are fucking animals, and it's like, and I was like, ultimately, I'm like, yeah, I know you guys have your kids, whatever, you all want the same shit. I was like, why are you othering other people? They just have a different view of the world, and their life is just different than yours, and that's why they see it that way.
Yeah, you said something. Another, and you keep saying all these cool things that are bringing up thoughts.
Stop it, Pete.
I teach my kids whenever they ask me now these days, like, "Hey, Daddy, why this or why that?" My answer now is because they're different. Everyone's different, right? And my thing is, the moment you realize everyone is different, life will be that much easier for you because you'll realize that person in their different situation, who likes different things, who grew up a different way, who has a different mom, who have a different dad, and a different, led to some of these choices. So when you go to communicate with people, you can't communicate with everyone the same way because everyone is different. And you need to pay attention to those things and those differences and be mindful of it and craft your strategy on how you move around that person, how you move around life, and just how you go about things in general, right? If it's, why do they have a big house and you don't? Why do they have this car and you don't? Like, not everybody wants a Tesla. Yeah. Not everybody, wants an SUV. Not everybody, wants to wear a suit every day, or not. Everyone is different in so many different ways, shapes, forms. And I'm trying to let them know that that's really the answer to a lot of things. Yeah. And they should just take all of that into consideration. And reframe their question a little bit differently about things in life and how they move through it.
Well, I think that's also a big thing is you realize that life has so many different variables, and some people, when you zig when you should have zagged in a certain situation, could dictate so much of where you like your life, where you end up, and your journey, and and everybody's different, and their experiences are different, and that's something I think from. I think we were speaking before we started recording about why I started the podcast. Just speaking with all these different people I know and friends, I myself have learned so much about them and realized how everyone's life is so different. I mean, ultimately, I think, but even though all their lives are different and they've had different life experiences, which has formed their views of the world and their perspective, ultimately, everybody sort of wants the same thing. If given the same opportunity, if given the same whatever, people want their friends and their family to be safe. If they have children, they want their children to be safe. They provide for their children. They want to be able to give their children what they want. I doubt most people are striving to be like billionaires or accumulate crazy amount of wealth. I think that's a small stuff. So I think people want to be comfortable, but I don't think it's like the majority of the population is not their only driving factor. It's like, I just want to accumulate everything I can, like a fucking vacuum, and suck up all the wealth I can. They just want their friends and their family to be safe and happy. And the way they go about it, it's just different. And the way they see it is different. And once you realize that, like, we're all sort of the same. I was like, and our views might be different, but if you have that mutual respect and understanding, then, like, it would resolve so much of the fucking fighting that you hear on social media, in the streets or whatever. Like, people just start realizing so much. And it's like, it goes back to like the othering. Once you could other something, like I read this, it was on another podcast that I listened to, and he made a really good point, is that even the othering of people, at some point you realize, had to be an evolutionary mechanism where, like, you can, because ultimately I think it's hard for people to, like, look at the same species. You see, very rarely you see species killing each other, same species in the wild, in an animal kingdom. It's very rare. You kind of like, unless there's, but once you're in a certain group and you see another group and like, oh yeah, they're not part of our group, it makes it easier because you now other them. So it makes it easier to dehumanize or think less them, that they're less than. So it's easier for you to harm them, kill them, and do whatever. And in our society, I feel like it translates into, now you can other someone, and now you think at them like, oh, you know what? Like, they deserve less. They're not as, like, their opinions mean less than mine. Their life means less than mine. And then now you can easily be like, all right, fuck it. Like, if they die, they die. Who cares? As long as me and my group are okay. And it's such a shitty way, and I think it's really kind of like, I see it so prevalent now, and maybe I've become more aware of it as I've gotten older, and I've tried to, like, because I think even at some point I had the same mindset of othering of people as well. If they didn't agree with my political views or they agree with certain views, I'm like, fuck that person, they're a fucking idiot, they don't know what the fuck them. But I'm realizing, like, now it's such a stupid way to live, and it's so you're excluding all these people. Just be like, I don't know. I feel like I'm going on this little rant about it, and like, but it's like, it's so fucking silly, and it really, like, I feel like it's really exhausting, and it's one of the things that really bothers me now when I see all these social media posts. I'm like, oh, enough. Like, it makes me, like, gives me such a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, that makes me just want to leave social media. I'm like, there's so many people who just, like, talk so much shit and just dehumanize other people for no reason, left and right.
And of course, and when we talk about social media, you think about, like, algorithms and stuff. And it's like, the more you see of like certain views, like, the more you get. And she's like, you go, and it knows, it's like, okay, you think left, you think right. This is the information we're gonna feed you, and you never get exposed to that other side. And you really should have that, open-mindedness where it's like, yo, you may think this, but you really should listen to other people.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think most people stay in their bubble. I think because it feels safer. And that's one of the things about the internet. The internet, has been probably one of the best things ever created for the world. But it's also, it gives you the ability for people that might have the worst views you could ever think, the most uncharitable, shittiest views, to find other people to validate those views.
Yes.
and make you feel more about having these shitty views. And then form groups to like get together,
get that voice
to
out.
really solidify these shit views. Yeah. So I don't know. It's unfortunate, but hopefully, who knows? Maybe in the future, as we have neural implants, and everyone gets to know each other more, and gets to realize everyone's sort of the same. Everyone wants the same thing. Like, I don't think any of us who have kids want any harm to have our kids. I don't think you. You can tell me. Do you care about having $5 billion in the bank? I'm sure it'd be nice, but is that your life's goal? No. It's probably like, chances are to raise your kids, make sure they do well, give them enough to, like, give them enough to think. Maybe, of course, we have our own unresolved traumas of our childhood, and we want to be like, give our kids what we didn't have, but also we want them to be safe and be thriving adults, and give them a better life than ultimately we had.
Yeah.
Be good human beings.
Yeah. And I'll get off my soapbox now.
On the next episode of Pete's Rant.
I quit. You were saying social media and all that stuff. I definitely quit Facebook. Probably more than 7 years ago, at least, at a minimum. And life's been great. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think I jumped to Instagram because I was like, I don't have to see people fighting. It's just an image. And even that, I'm not really on it like I was. But when I was on Facebook, it just The algorithm was a beast, right? And you could request your files on Facebook, and so when I did it, I was surprised about how much it knew about me. So I started to delete stuff, and then I would wake up the next morning and the post would be back there again. I'm like, but I deleted it. So then I automated the process of deleting. Like, I don't know if it's possible now, but you can't delete your posts off of Facebook. You can limit who sees it. You can say like, oh, friends only, but you can't be like, you know what? Any post that I made older than 90 days, let's delete it. No, it won't let you do that. So I started looking for programs that were out there that would do it, and I couldn't find anything. So I found this like browser plugin that'll kind of like mirror your motions. So I recorded from the timeline the delete, and it was working fine. So I sped it up. Everything was deleted. I went through like years, right? Woke up the next morning, everything was back there again. I'm like, oh, but I deleted it. All right, maybe it knows a machine did it. So I slowed it down, right, to like 1.5. And I couldn't. Facebook just kept putting it back. And I was like, all right, well, I was at this point where Facebook was the only place that had all my walks of life together. If I grew up with you, you're there. You're a friend. If I worked with you, sure, maybe some people, made it over, school together, grew up together, all kinds of things. They were all there. And then, people have political discussions, religious discussions, whatever. And all the different people that I've met in life were now fighting, and it would be, well, I didn't know you really thought that way. Like, oh, good to know. And here I've invited you to my house and you think that way? Wow, had no idea. And then I had people calling me up. Hey, how do you know this person? Like, you friends with this person? And I'm like, well, I know we call it Facebook and maybe it's friends. Some people are associates, and just, ended up there. They found me and I was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And it just became toxic. Because then Facebook was like, oh, look, he really likes this stuff. Let's show him more of it. And then I'd be stuck getting caught up in fights and arguments when I should be eating, or I should be engaged with the people that I'm with. But instead, I'm like, oh, I can't believe he said that. Hold on, let me respond. Give me a second. And then I'd put my phone down, and then I'd be like, he probably responded by now. Hold on. Yeah. And then I'm responding to these people. I'm having fights and things. And now, in this whole piece where I mentioned earlier, where I realize everyone is different, right? So, look, I still respect you. You grew up a different way, and maybe that's why you have your different views that I clearly don't align with, but is what it is, right? But then now, I would find myself avoiding people. So, like, all of a sudden, John Doe, who's on my page talking all this negative shit, and then I would see John Doe maybe at the grocery store, and I'd go the other way. I'm like, I don't even want to engage with dude. I don't want to see you, dude. I don't want to whatever. Maybe see you at the train platform on the way to work. But like, nope, don't want to talk to you. I don't message you personally anymore. And I just found myself removing myself, or not just wanting to be around people. And I was just like, you know what? If you won't let me delete stuff, then I'm gone from this platform. So I deleted it. And then I saw something where like they hold your records and things for like 7 years, and if you rejoin, they'll just reattach. And I'm like, oh hell no! So my goal to myself is to get off this platform for at least 7 years, and then I could potentially re-engage.
Mm-hmm. I do feel like that with social media, I think it thrives on conflict. I think and I think the algorithms in general push for that conflict. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, and yes, I feel like it is, yes, and it is such, in my opinion, becomes so detrimental to human relationships, friendships, and just people in general. Because I do wonder. I mean, I think, and as kids, I don't remember. It's not like I had that many crazy, like adults in my life or whatever. But I don't remember people always talking about politics like this. I think I always sort of felt that growing up, politics were sort of a private thing, and that people had their own views, but they never really discussed it, even in family, whatever, once in a while. But I never really heard about people talking about politics. It was always one of those running jokes, like in bar, you would say, no news, no politics, or things like that, because it always caused conflict. And now it's like people wear their views as like a badge of honor. And it's like virtue signaling. It's like, this is what I believe, and I believe in this and this. But it's like, it seems so.
Well, people feel so empowered to like get their voice out there.
And I don't know what that is, and I do wonder why it is that people, because I do think that I can't with 100% certainty say it, but I'm sure that like people that adults that I grew up with had different political views. I'm sure there was some like white person who thought a little differently about this or that about than like some of my Puerto Rican family, but they still sort of hung out. They still spent time together. They just didn't discuss it, and I wonder if like why, or maybe they even really knew, but they realized I still like this person, even though he has a different view than me. I enjoy spending time with them. So just that's only one aspect of them as a person. And they would overlook it or just choose not to address it, and why that's so impossible these days. Like everyone wears their political identity as such as a giant shield that they hold up.
They do, and it's scary. I've definitely known folks. So whereas I thought I got my piece by leaving Facebook and other platforms. You meet somebody new and they're cool people, and you're like, I really like this person. And then campaign time comes, and then they, wear their views on their sleeve, and it's just like, oh, so what parts do you agree with and what parts don't you? But I don't want to talk to you about it. Yeah. But so then I just end up writing people off.
I think I used to do that. I try not to do that. I just feel like there's people that I know, like other parents that I've met, through my son's activities. I feel like that's really the only way I meet new parents these days, because through my son's activities, which is kind of unfortunate. But there's some that I really like. There's one mom who she's very abrasive and she's very rough, but I like her because she's the kind of person that she's loyal, almost to a fault. You know what I mean? Like, almost like you're like, oh, she's like a little OD with it. But she has very different political views, and she'll say a lot of stupid shit. That I think, like that things that I think are kind of stupid. But I'm like, I know who she is, and I'm like, I try not to overlook. I just try to like overlook that, and I try to give her maybe some grace. And like, it's just maybe the way she grew up or the way whatever. So I try not to do it. But sometimes it does get hard, because you're like, you see the post and you're like, ugh. You're like, really? Did you have to say that? I'm like, oh.
We were having a nice conversation, and then it's
didn't want to know that about
you.
you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like can we go back to it just being your own private thoughts and not having to be spouted about every 90 seconds on every single post? When you're bored or you're frustrated, fuck this, fuck that, fuck these people, fuck that people. I'm like, just who cares?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I think we're too deep in to go back to that. I feel like people feel really empowered to just get their like their point of view, their views out there, and people are like, oh, people are listening to me. I have a following, this and that. Even if you don't have a following, I think people feel just like, yo, I can say this and I'll get away with it. Even if it's not particularly something bad.
I think the unfortunate part is that, well, maybe not unfortunate, but I realized I started to self-censor. There's times where like I will, like I think my views have evolved over the past, let's say, decade, have evolved, where maybe in the past I was like a very far left leaning. Now I feel like I'm more of a centrist left, Democrat. But I feel like because people like are so loud and obnoxious and pound their chest with their views, that like now I just self-censor and I just keep it to myself. And I'm like, look, when it's my choice to vote or do that, I'm gonna do what I feel is whatever. And I'm not gonna feel the need to talk about it or even have to justify it to anybody. I'm like, this is what I voted for. That being said, I did not vote for Trump. I don't want to get canceled.
Get out of my house.
I see people like, that motherfucker voted for Trump. But yeah, I realized that I just like, and it's unfortunate that you have to self-censor, but I think to navigate now, it's just so much easier and like less conflict, and I'm happier to just not have these conversations where I have to like justify or defend my views. I'm like, my views are my views, and I respect yours. And I'm like, and if you say things that are kind of shitty or obnoxious or like even I think are borderline a little, could be construed a little racism, I have to really gauge it on the person. It's like, well, what do I know of that person? I was like, am I really racist, or am I, like, are they just seeing things through a certain lens? So it's like, it's a really hard thing to navigate and like challenging, but I just have to, but also the news cycle now is just so overwhelming that I like, fuck it. I just put my head in the sand. I'm
Yeah,
like,
because everything is breaking news now.
everything like, X and on like, X and Instagram. I mean, actually not so much on Instagram, on Facebook. It's like all my feed. I'm like, oh, but you're right. I think Facebook has become a really toxic, shitty place. I do prefer Instagram a lot more. Plus, my algo is either fucking puppy dogs or naked girls or girls in bikinis. I'm like, perfect. My two or food. I'm like restaurants. I'm like, all right, my 3 favorite things: hot girls, cute animals, yeah. and like and real delicious food. I'm like, all right, sign me up.
Yep. I could tolerate that a lot more. I do hear you though. Like if you know someone, and then you find out, it does help. As long as they just expose that and they just dead it right there. Yeah. When they like deep dive in, then you're just like, whoa, okay. Now you're saying things that I just you can't come back.
You
from.
lost me, yeah. When they do the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I don't know.
yeah.
There's times. I mean, like, there's been. I've sort of gone down a few conspiracy theory rabbit holes.
We all have.
Like, have you read Chaos?
Guys of Our Chaos?
No, have you guys read the book Chaos?
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh my God, yo, that shit'll put you. So I guess what it talks about was, I'll keep it brief. Was this journalist was given a job of writing about, I think it's like the 20th or 30th anniversary of the Manson killings. So when he started researching it, he's like, wait, there's a lot of weird shit going on here. And then he's researching more and more, and he's like, and then what an assignment that was supposed to be a couple months, he then kept investigating for almost 20 years. And it turns out that he has a lot of documentation and proof that Charles Manson was actually that was part of a CIA psych op that came from an experiment called MK Ultra. MK Ultra was a CIA experiment where they tried to use psychedelics to control people, to use mind control, and they documented it. And they, in essence, what the book sort of speculates is that the CIA and also the government wanted to use Manson as a way to discredit the hippie movement. And the way they were going to do it was to create a group of hippies, because Manson initially had this group of women, Manson girls, and they were peace, love, or whatever, to control them and then give them psychedelics to then they also taught him how to coerce people and persuade people to do things for him. And that's how he ended up coercing these people or convincing them to kill these people. And then they sort of were to blame it on the hippie movement. And then what segued, which they don't realize, is that was when they also said, well, psychedelics are bad, and that's why they classified all psychedelics as class A or class whatever on drugs. So it was at first I was like, oh shit. And it sounds kind of crazy when I was like, ah, come on. Then the more I was reading, I was like, and you see you see the paperwork, you see these weird, this guy, I think it was this one person who was in the CIA who the same office that he was running experiments in with psychedelics, it was the same office that he was friends with Charles Manson's parole officer. So he went to the same building, and also it was the same building where it was a free health clinic, but the free health clinic was actually giving people LSD and psychedelics, because there was in San Francisco as a whole part of the whole hippie movement. So I was like, yo, but that shit'll, yeah. And then I was like, that was the one conspiracy. I'm like, oh, this is so.
This is too.
Yeah, I was like, this is a little too juicy, but I mean, it seems pretty valid, but of course, who knows? It could be a lot of horse shit also. But I'm like, oh yeah, there's times I've gone down that conspiracy theory rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to become. But I'm not wearing a foil hat yet.
The tinfoil, yeah.
I don't believe in the lizard people. But yeah, but if you guys get it, it's a really crazy book, but then actually I'll even give one more little tidbit. It even goes so far because MK Ultra, that experiment came from a previous CIA operation called Operation Paperclip, and it was after World War II, and so the Nazis originally are the ones that came up with the formula for LSD, and after World War II, the U.S. government, instead of there are a lot of Nazi scientists, what they did was it's called, and it's documents, it's true. They took a lot of the Nazi scientists, smuggled them out of Germany, gave them new identities, and actually a good amount of them worked for NASA. So these Nazi scientists are probably a good reason why we were able to land on the moon. But these Nazi scientists were also the ones that created that MK Ultra program for the government about how to use these psychedelics for mind control, or if there was a way to do it. So it's a pretty crazy like trail of events that like follows history, and it's documented. You're like, oh, there's a lot of crazy shit going on here.
Wow, that's deep.
Damn.
Yeah, man. Yo, let's do it. Going down
the
rabbit hole.
The previous comments do not reflect the views of
allegedly.
allegedly. Oh, that's amazing. Oh shit. Yeah. So now, for your Facebook, have you been off of it for the 7 years? Has it been almost 7 years?
So it's been well more than 7 years. I rejoined it. I created an email address specifically for it. I have a browser that I use specifically for it. A VM that I use specifically for it.
Oh shit. Are you using plus addressing by any chance?
I
speak to
am
that? Okay.
for like regular stuff that
Regular,
I do.
okay.
But given how deep Facebook is and its tentacles and how much it knows about you and where it gets that information from, I wanted no tie-in, right? So sure, Facebook will, I'll jump into some other stuff, but so I created all of this. So I'm on it under a false name, everything, because I wanted to be a part of a community, and to be a part of this. So I wanted to get information from this community, a place to ask questions and learn and whatnot. So I had to create this, because if I were to just say, oh, let me use my personal machine and a plus email address, Facebook will identify you by how you type, whether you hit enter or not, just those pieces before you even start backspacing it out. It knows your monitor size, it knows your keyboard, it knows your IP address, it knows your household. And I don't know about you, but I'm assuming that you probably have multiple tabs in your browser. So as you go to other websites and things and interact, they're all using Facebook Analytics. They're all using Google Analytics. All those sites are sharing things back, right? Otherwise, you'd never have the Cambridge Analytica style things. So Facebook knows a shit ton about you. And as anonymous as you try to be and create other, you create another email account, create a new fake name, and then rejoin Facebook on a different browser on the same machine. And probably by the end of the day, it'll wrap it right back and be like, oh, it's John again with his other ID and whatever. Let's add that to the other ones that we know about him. And then now with AI and more business intelligence, the next thing you go and create, it'll just be like, oh, yeah, I think that there's a high probability that this one over here, even though we haven't seen it here, is still John, because that's part of his MO and based on what we know and things and, the correlate stuff. So I needed to remove as many of those correlation points as possible.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right? So the VM kicks off my VPN. It goes somewhere else. I just didn't want at any point in time Facebook to be like, oh, Eugene's back.
Yo, my man is back.
He's back, right? And then what they'll do is then they'll just link all of that. It won't be a part of my profile, but it'll be that ghost profile that like, oh, we know who to attach that to.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
and then I'll just kind of put it back. And I just didn't want any of that. Right? Because you see it, right? You're on Instagram or you're on TikTok or whatever, and it's like, oh, Pete's here. You want a friend Pete? You're like, what? Like, this was my shady account. Like, how does it know Pete? And then
your Finsta.
Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, like, next thing you know, it's like Jack wants to friend you. And like, how did Jack know I'm here? Like, I didn't tell Jack that I've got this account and whatever. And I didn't want any of that, it knowing me. So I was like, you know what? I'm back, but let me be as private as I possibly can. And for me, I'm not jumping through a bunch of hoops. I'm in IT already. So stuff
this is easy for you.
I just spawn it up and I go and I use it for that purpose, and then it's down. Maybe it might be a disadvantage if I'm like on my phone. I'm like, oh, I really want to ask the community a question. No, I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Not going to do it. I'm going to wait till I get home.
Yeah.
And sit
One
in front
central
of my machine.
location.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's it. But But yeah, so I've been off of it for more than 7. It had in its thing when you were deleting your account, it says,
The exact date.
yeah, it says we'll hold it for you
Damn.
for like 7 years. I was
So
like, all right.
and you surpassed that date?
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So now, but well, you said you're on Instagram, right?
So I was wondering, so Instagram and I have WhatsApp. And I was like, so if they buy them out and I'm there, does that allow them to reconnect it and things? So that level of piece, I don't know whether Facebook was like, well, within the 7-year time period, you went ahead and created an account over here. There was a time when they weren't joining the two together.
Yeah.
And then I think, within the past whatever many years, they're more bringing it
seamless.
together. Same with like WhatsApp. It wasn't really like, oh, you go do you. But now it's like, whatever. And I've been with companies that when they buy out another company, the first thing they're doing is spinning up a team saying, all right, download that database.
Yeah.
Connect it over here, run analysis on it. So I couldn't imagine they didn't do that,
Right away. Just to ingest all that user data.
Right. So as much as I'm thinking, I got my Sly account over here. For all I know, they probably could have gone to Instagram or WhatsApp and been like, wait a minute, we know, hey, that IP, could it be,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure AI is also helping make that easier. They're tying all that information together.
But I think it's working because who it's suggesting as friends is no one in my circle, and no one has come back.
You mean on your Ghost account?
On my Ghost Facebook account. Like it hasn't any of that. I've seen others that are in the community, but just so that there's no 6 degree of separation link, I don't say hi to them. I don't connect with them. They're like, oh, you there? What's your... No, I'm not connecting with you. I connect with strangers. If I meet someone at a campsite, I'm like, oh, yeah, you're on Facebook? Sure, let's meet up. Let me connect with them. And it's like, oh, are these part of your friends? I'm like, no, you think you got me, but you don't. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it is kind of how do, we all work in IT in some different respect. How do the fucking regular people navigate through that shit and be able to?
They don't.
They can't. Yeah,
it's too much.
It's a losing battle.
Yeah, it's way too much, and it's a lot of effort and work to keep up with. I had worked for a company some years ago, and they would do campaigns with pharma, and they're like, oh, okay, you have an off-brand script that's just not making as much money anymore. But like, look, we'll dial up the amount of prescriptions and this, that, and the other for you. We're not charging you anything yet, but we're going to take a cut of the pie. And they were able to do so and not charge until later because they had in their database, I don't know, probably like 90% of the doctors that are out there, and all the doctors alternate IDs and things, and they knew when, Dr. John was, going to check his email. They knew that this doctor over here engages with, TV. This doctor over here with whatever, and they knew how many touches it took to get you to prescribe that med. And they already had this engine. They knew the machine and would do it. And one of the guys gave me an example of some of the touch points and how deep some of these companies will go, right? This is money at the end of the day, right? They, I think this is a different company. It was Microsoft trying to get an executive to buy the Surface for their field teams. So part of the touches was this executive took a train to work. This train line, they bought out. So regardless, when you got on that train within a certain time period, the ad on the left and the right side was Microsoft Surface. They brought the whole line. Right? So he walks in, oh, there's Microsoft Surface, right? Touch point. He's getting the emails, touch point, phone call, touch point, and all these things were adding to it to ultimately they got that contract, and this executive bought, millions of dollars worth of Surfaces for like their fleet. These companies just know way too much, and this company knew that. And I remember sitting with the guy who's like head of business intelligence telling me all these things, and I'm just like, oh, it's scary what they know. They know you more than you know yourself. And yes, the average consumer doesn't know. I find myself even learning things. I think I was watching John Oliver on one of his past talks. And he's like, yeah, go to these settings now and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I already know that stuff, but let me see anyway. So I went to the website and I'm like, I was like, oh, I didn't set that setting. Shit. Yeah, no. Demonetize that. No. How'd I miss this stuff? So even myself, it's work. It's work.
That's like this subliminal messaging that they used to do back then, where it's like you're watching a movie and it's like a half a split second. It's like a hamburger, and then you're like, "Shit, I'm hungry. I want to go to McDonald's."
Yeah.
This is like to the extreme.
Yeah.
But it is scary how precise and how it really feels like the Navy SEALs of fucking advertising, or it's like it's so precise in their targeting that it's scary. It's like that you really. The average person, I'm sure most population don't really stand a chance because everything is so subliminal. I'm sure if they wanted to tell me something, even me being aware of it, of what they're doing, I'm not hyper vigilant every second of the day of what's happening. I'm just going about my day, living my life. So I see these touch points and it's kind of like in my brain, even if I don't really notice it, like it's like the at the forefront of my brain, I kind of look around. I'll say, like you said, the ads right there, I kind of notice it and I see it someplace else. So it's like these little nudges, like a little poke, a little prod to get you to where they want you to.
I got one more example for you. Was with Target. And I think Target is probably on the early stages of this to where we are now. Target has all this data, purchasing this, that, and the other. They gave it to some people to do some business intelligence on. And Target, with some near certainty, high 90s, could determine when a female is pregnant. Most likely well before she's told other people, and sometimes before she was even certain herself, because of the things you buy, right? So when you're not certain, right, you maybe buy a test, whatever, some things, and then if you are certain, now you're back, now you're buying other things because your friends don't know, your family don't know. So they're like, oh, we got all this data that, hey, when someone is pregnant, they're buying creams, they're buying this, they're buying that, So what they did is they started sending the customer some targeted mailers, discounts on these things that they know you're going to buy, throughout your pregnancy. And unfortunately, one of the mailers went out to it was a teenager.
Oh, shit.
And her mom didn't know. So her mom's looking at this mailer that's pretty darn targeted, 20% off and whatever. And so she went after Target and sued, or I don't know if it went to litigation, but it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then Target had to come out with what they knew that led to that mailer. Well, we know, and thoughts about invasion of privacy and yada yada, whatever. So now organizations, they still do it. They're just not going to just send, Sarah a mailer that we know you're pregnant. They'll just send it out to the zip code, right? And they'll just throw it in with other stuff. Yeah, get some groceries, get some whatever.
A blanket, yeah.
But then there might be a page in there or at the end that's kind of for you that is to get you to, that's targeted, right? We know you're pregnant, but we don't want to tell you we know you're pregnant, so we'll just throw it in with other shit and send it out.
And I'm sure they're so well versed in people's psychology and in that consumerism that they even probably know which page of that flyer is the one most people will go to, or they put on a certain crease. So if you open it, if it just folds open, it falls to that page, right? So that's the first thing you see when you open it.
Yeah, big business, and AI is just going to make all that stuff even more easier in terms of business intelligence and, pointing it at your data set and saying, mine it for me and pull this out and get the similarities, get the anomalies and chart that course. And, scary times.
It is. I mean, it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine and I'm like, oh, yeah, most things that I buy nowadays, I mean, back in the day, you saw commercials on TV. Most things I purchase now are ads I see on Instagram or on Facebook for different products. Everything. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm going to try that. And I was like, I'm going to order that. And I go to Amazon and I order it. I was like, and that is the new, and you said they have so much data on me. They know what to feed, what ads to serve me, and the frequency to get me to buy whatever the fuck they want.
I mean, you just validated for why influencers are able to get paid and make their money, right? Because if I have this number of people following me and I say I like this product, yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, they know what that uptick is of those folks going out to buy whatever it is, right? I consume a lot of YouTube videos, and once again, in this camping lifestyle community, if there's someone who's out there and they've got the same camper I have and they're talking about their levels of experience and some problems that they had, and oh, look, we bought this thing to solve it. I'm like, oh, so let me get my phone out, you know, going online and I'm buying it.
Yeah.
So it's driving sales.
They got you.
And even and these online vendors like Amazon makes purchasing so easy. It's like two clicks.
It's too easy.
So
It's too easy.
I'm telling you, man, it's
All the stuff you're sitting on in this room is from Amazon. This whole living room is all Amazon, minus these IKEA shelves. But if they were on Amazon, I probably would have bought them.
that's
Yeah.
funny.
You know what I had to do to like kill an Amazon hobby? I had to quit Prime. Oh yeah. That's also very hard to quit. So I quit Prime because it was bad, man. Like I'd be like, I had a bad day at work today. Go buy some shit.
Emotional shopping.
I stubbed my toe. Go buy some shit.
2 GPUs. Let's go.
You know, like any little thing. I mean,
Yeah.
packages coming in every day, and you don't realize how much you're spending either. You know, so I had to tap into my inner frugal. So I killed my Amazon subscription. TLDR, like Amazon One, I have a Prime subscription back. You know, but I got rid of Prime, and it helped because now I would put something in the cart and it'd be like, you got to pay $3.99 for shipping. I'm like, oh fuck no, I ain't paying $3.99. Like it was free before. I'm not paying now. So then I would just leave it in the cart because it'd be like, well, when you have $25, then we'll ship it to you. So I'm like, I'm trying to behave and not buy shit for the sake of shit. So let me not buy something just to throw this cart off. So I'll just leave it there, and I'd come back to it. You know, some days later, something else I want to get this. Let me add it to the cart, and then I'd be like, oh, this other thing that I put last week, I don't need it anymore. And then I would delete it from the cart, but then I'd be back at the new square one because it'd be like, well, it's still $3.99 for me to ship this to you. And surprisingly enough, man, my wallet was very happy with me that year because there was not a ton of packages coming through the door. It was things that I actually needed, and I was able to practice some, you know, what comes in, there's something to go out, and it really helped up until, you know, the mother-in-law's discounted Amazon came into the picture. I was like, well.
You're like, now I'm saving back.
That's a touch point right there. They said,
Yeah, right?
It is. I mean, I guess a lot of shit that we do order is just like an impulse buy. I mean, I thought there isn't much that you need. You know, you like really, really need to like live. It's like, well, that's kind of interesting. Purchase.
dude, and when it's cheap enough, like you can get it, and you're like, you know what, it wasn't worth it or whatever. You just kind of like throw it out. Fuck it,
like
you
$20,
spend $7 on it, whatever.
And Amazon knows you so well. It's like, oh, it's Pete here today. All right, here's his pricing. Oh, it's Eugene here today. Let's his pricing. You know, oh, it's John. And everyone's getting different pricing. I don't know how much you've tried asking others to just be like, hey, look up this exact same item.
Yeah, and it'll be cheaper or more expensive. Sometimes,
totally
like, I went looking for something as simple. Someone said, oh, yeah, I bought something for $5. I'm like, really? So I Googled it, and it was like $6 to me. I'm like, no, can you send me the link? When they sent me their link, it was the same exact item, different price. Yeah.
Well, what's funny is that like how all of that has affected sort of how I think kids or my own kid looks at purchasing stuff, because he's like, yeah, just Amazon it. Just get it on Amazon. We'll go to a bodega. We'll go to a store. I'm like, I'm sorry, they don't have it. He's like, yeah, just get it on Amazon. Like that's all he knows. It's that and any other online, retailer.
I was trying to teach my kids about money, and so they each have their own debit card.
Oh.
And usually, mind you, all the packages coming in, they've got my name on it, so I don't even read. Like Amazon box prompt, I'm opening it up until I open one up, and there's a bag of Skittles in there. I'm like, what the hell? A bag of Skittles?
It's a mistake.
And I close the box, and my kids are smart, so it's not her name on it. It's like her nickname, her handle. Mm-hmm. It's like her handle, not even a real name, but the address is all right.
Oh my god!
But I'm like, oh, I know who this is for. And I wasn't sure how to really, because she wasn't a teenager yet. So how did she open up an Amazon account? Like, she clearly had to lie on her birth date and say whatever. And then, I mean, could I really get mad at her for doing this? Because I did give her a debit card and I'm trying to teach her how to use it. I was more disappointed that she probably paid for shipping plus the candy cost, you know? But then I was like, well, I mean, she did ask me to take it to the store and I didn't make time and she solved the problem on her own. And yeah.
Like I said, it's navigating all this new technology and the accessibility to it. And like, how do you make the right choices? Because you're like, why the hell are you paying $5 shipping on a bag of Skittles? Walk your ass to the store. But yeah, it's like now there's new ways to solve problems that
didn't have before. And it's that intersection of what do you allow and what do you stop, knowing that you yourself has no idea of the future and what's coming.
Oh my God! And you said before, you said your daughter is a teenager now. She's 13.
She just turned 13.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has that been? Any change, or you see any pushback? Any sass?
Yeah, there's been some sass, been some pushback. It's been interesting, right? You know, as a father, knowing what's out there, and then now all of a sudden, it's been an uptick in the, you know, feminine products and, you know, beauty products and whatever, and the looks, you know, changing, and the clothing is changing, and everything, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay, what happened to the innocence? It's still there, but, you know, and some of it, like, we do it, right? I mean, there used to be times where she'd leave home. I'm like, how are you wearing that shirt or those pants? Like, it's got stains on it. Go get, you know, whatever. Your shoes are dirty. Like, we could afford some new clothes for you if you need it. Like, what's going on here? Now she's coming out, like, all dialed up. And I'm like, ooh. What happened to that dirty shirt that you used to have and the ripped up pants?
Oversized,
The dirty shoes. Can you put that back on? I missed that one. So be careful what you ask for and what you wish for. But it's been great. I feel as though something happened and she just clicked. She gets it. I'm always repeating myself before. Now I'm repeating myself less on things. I mean, there's new things I'm repeating myself on. But it's cool. It's a great sight watching them grow and change and mature, and you know.
I'm sure those conversations much changed. They're much of a, you know, of an adult sort of a.
Yeah, you know, but they're also harder too, though, right? Because before, it was, hey, have a seat. Let me tell you what I know that you don't know. Now it's, hey, have a seat. Let me tell you what I know that you probably already heard like years ago from your friends in school and internet and all these other places. And now I have to kind of gauge what you probably know because you're not really going to tell me that you know, and have this conversation with you, and hope that what I'm saying is going to be the belief and not, right? Because it's my internet at home. I run the network. I see what searches are and I see what goes through, and I'm not gonna be like, hey, I just saw last night you were searching on this topic.
Do you go through the logs on your
Sometimes. So I let them know that I see and I know everything, and it's usually of, all right, they should be sleeping right now. Are they really sleeping, or are they doing something else? Or, you know, she said she was doing her homework the entire time, but no school is giving you homework at this age up until 9 o'clock. So you clearly were distracted. Let me go validate that. And I'll tell them. I'll be like, look, you want to tell me the truth, or do I need to go pull stuff up and let you know what I know? So sometimes they don't want me to know, so they'll just tell me up front, yes, I was just right, I was doing whatever. I'll leave it be. But there's sometimes, you know, curiosity's there. I'm not sure if you're really telling me everything. So, yeah, I'll check and I'll see things. And there have been things, some searches about sexuality and whatnot. And I'm like, really? At this age? Like, ooh, damn. But I just ignore it. You didn't share it with me, so I don't approach you that I know it. But I'm waiting. Like, please do approach me on that topic. I would love to talk to you about it. But I just.
And how old is your son?
He's 8.
8, okay. So 8 and 13, yeah. So.
Yeah, and then that's the problem too, right? Because then not only does he learn from school folks this, that, and the other, but then he's come and learn from the sister. right? And then it's conversations with her like, hey, there are conversations that I hold back from you. As you saw, we just had this conversation and you were how old? I didn't have it with you at this time. Information is shared at different points in time. Enjoy being a kid. Stop trying to rush being old. Don't share with your brother things just because you know it, because he doesn't need to know it right now. He'll know it when it's right for him, right? And I use examples. I'm like, look, when you were younger, you used to watch cartoons, right? A car flies off a cliff, it lands, and it keeps on going, right? I mean, maybe somebody, gets hit by some heavy object in the face, and they're alive, and they get up, and they shake it off, and they keep on going. Is that what life is like? Or did you learn later that there's a thing called death, and people die, and you don't come back from things, and you get hurt, and whatever? So she gets that. I'm like, yes, because at certain ages you don't need to know certain things, right? So same thing now. You're 13. There's some things you don't need to know, right? And I kind of explain ratings, rated G, PG-13, R, whatever. Like I'm like, life is not, sunshine and rainbows, and we want you to enjoy being a kid, and you'll learn about why life is not sunshine and rainbows and all those things, later in life. I'm like, look, so like cursing and things, like, look, that's later in life. I don't like it. I don't want you to at this age too, but if later in life you want to curse, power to you. You're at that age, you kind of understand its use and the many different ways it can be used and what it means and social dynamics and things. So that's usually been my thing, is just, I do have those conversations. And I let her know, like, some conversations you bring to me. Some things I'm just not ready to talk about. And you come, hey, Dad, what's a whore?
Yeah. Damn.
Like, shit.
I had my son the other day. We were driving. This is like maybe a month ago, and he asked in the car. He's like, Daddy, how are babies made? And it's like the stereotypical question that you see like in every movie, every cartoon, every this and that. Yeah. And then so I'm in the car, I think, with my nephew, his cousin, which is I think a year younger than him, and I was like, well, when two people love each other, and then I was like, do I do that, or do I give them that when a man and a woman love each other, there's this they just, and I couldn't get the words out, and then he's like, no, but how are they made? Like, so I guess he was like trying to find the scientific. He's 10. He's 10.
Do you think that he's heard anything at school?
So. Okay. Well,
Okay.
I don't know if he's heard anything in school, but I'll get to that. I'll get to something funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I was like, well, there's this thing called the egg, and then there's a little squiggly thing, and I didn't want to use the word sperm, so I was like, there's a little squiggly, and they form, and then when they get together, it grows up into like a little baby, and then the baby grows inside, mom's belly, and this and that. So we kept it at, he didn't really ask anything. Like, he was kind of like quiet. So I'm like, I'm sure he's thinking about it. Yeah, he's processing. Yeah. He's like, but what the hell could that be? So then the other day, I was talking to my wife. I guess she put him to bed, and then he mentioned to her, and he hasn't mentioned it to me. He was like, oh, I know about sex. He's like, I know about like man and woman and like having sex. And I was like, where the fuck did he like?
He was giving you the opportunity to tell him
and
the
I was
real
like,
deal.
I know.
I was like hoping he would give me I was like, have that conversation with me, and I to be honest, I'm like, I don't think I feel ready to have that conversation, but if he's exposed to it, I'd rather him get from an adult like myself, his parent, to be like, listen, this is sort of the way it works, instead of having him go out there and learn it like the crazy way, or have him learn it from porn or whatever. So we'll see when that conversation comes up again. But I thought it was very interesting that he told his mom. He was like, yeah, I know about sex and that. And I think even my wife was like, I don't even know how to respond to that. He's like, that's a conversation you and your dad got to have.
See, I would have loved that if my son or daughter came up to me and said they know or were curious. I didn't get that. My daughter was one where she'd watch TV, and if somebody said something she didn't know, hey, Dad, what does this mean? Hey, Dad, what does that mean? Hey, Dad, I'm like, can I watch this shit? Like, what the fuck? And it wasn't until we were watching something and, they talking about sex. Yeah. And she didn't turn around like, hey, Dad, what's sex? And I was just like, she knows. And then it came to a scene, and then they went to kiss, and then she turned away. Oh, yeah. And I was like, like, why are you turning away? I didn't say anything, but in my head, I'm like, why are you turning away? Yeah. You didn't ask me what is sex. And, like, we don't, outside of like, hey, when we go to the beach, we wear beach clothes. You go to church, you wear these clothes. you're a little bit, you're intentional with what you wear. Right? The same way, hey, we're at home. I'm very relaxed in how I wear. If I'm going out, I'm going to dress up for the weather, for where I'm going. So look, we got guests coming over. You ain't walking around in your birthday suit, right? Because when they were young, it's just like, you guys don't believe in clothes, But I don't want to shame it either.
Right.
So I'm not like, oh, you got, wife's very much, whatever. I'm just like, just leave them. Like, let them, they're home. Right? Going out, different story. So there was no reason for her to shy away from kissing or any like that stuff on TV or the word sex and things. But so they learn from everywhere else, right? I could have internet controlled and locked down at home, but that next family that you said,
that's the one thing,
doesn't know how to regulate and control or whatever because they didn't grow up with it for whatever reason. Their kids are having a field day. Then they're going to school with, guess what I know?
Yeah.
Let me teach you something.
Let me show you this. That's the worst.
Yeah, right. And they bring it on their phone that's not regulated and teach them everything. I mean, so I'm sure she knows everything she needs to know.
Yeah.
I just haven't had all those conversations yet.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's also challenging you being the dad. It's probably easier for her to go to Luce and talk to her about these things, but who knows?
And I'm sure they've had their conversations as well. But I want to be a part of it too. I want to be the like you could come and talk to me about anything and anything, and no judgment zone. Right? Just tell me what hat I need to put on when you share it, and you're like, I'm waiting for my bad boys moment. You know,
oh, exactly.
Open that door. Who that? Chitty bang bang. Let me take that dude out back and show him the arsenal.
What was the other one with 50 Cent in that movie?
Yeah,
when he takes the dude into like the room with all those big.
They were working out.
Diesel motherfuckers.
Was that Den of Thieves or?
I don't know. Maybe I know it's some movie like one of those movies.
Yeah,
Den of Thieves had Ice Cube's kid. Ice
Cube's
son is in
there was
that.
like another one with like 50 Cent was like I think there was like a bunch of like they were doing like some kind of robbery or some shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Okay.
And then like the daughter's boyfriend comes and he has like a little red bandana right here in his chest pocket. So he, 50 Cent just pushes that shit in and says, "Come talk with me." And they go into like the garage, bunch of fucking diesel tattooed
like this
looking dudes there, big ass motherfuckers. He just tells them, "Yo, I don't want your mama to be crying because you're in a wheelchair."
Yeah.
It was when you said that it was Den of Thieves. He had the red bow tie on.
Yeah, okay.
The red bow tie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Walks in the room and they're all working out.
Oh,
I want that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I want that moment. Like let her know she's going to the prom or something, and I'll just get all my friends over.
Yeah.
And be like, yo, dress really thug, man. Just come on out,
Put on fake muscles if you have to.
Yeah, fake muscles, do the tank top, just work out downstairs, get them flexing, they give you some oil, we'll put some guns out on the table, and it's like, oh, you here to take my daughter out to the prom? Why don't you come downstairs? Let's have a talk.
Yeah. That's amazing.
What you plan to do?
That's funny. So what, have you built up your little arsenal now?
I do. I've got a little mini arsenal. I had what I had collected because I was like, well, if they say, it's a right, and you got to protect the family. Let me go get some stuff. So I picked up some items, and then a brother, call it a brother from another mother. His father had passed, and his father had some rifles and like a shotgun. And he's like, "Hey, what do I do with it?" And I'm like, I don't know what to do with it, but if you want me to hold it for you, I will. And he's like, "Just take it." I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So I have some of that stuff, but unfortunately, the rules and the regulations and all that stuff just make it so hard to use that they're collecting dust.
Yeah. I've been to out in Jersey by you, Guns for Hire.
I just heard about that the other day.
I've been there a couple of times. It's big. It's nice there.
Okay.
I'm actually in the process of getting my concealed carry.
Nice.
So I figure
I struggle with all those things, right? So when I want to shoot it now, so I was a member of a club in Old Bridge. It's like $300 a year to be able to shoot my firearm.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, I got to pay you to shoot my thing somewhere. Meanwhile, I load the guns up in the car. I go visit my friend in upstate New York, and we're just having a town. Like, setting up target practice, going whatever. And I'm like, if I wanted to join a gun club out here and shoot. And he's like, it's like $5. I'm like, oh, okay, $5 to shoot what I own in somebody's space. So I didn't understand the high costs of it here. Just the rules are just crazy.
Well, I think the hard part in New York is the permitting.
100% the permitting, but then also just the optics, right? I know when we started the call, we didn't say, but as an African American, in this country, even if I had a permit, right, for concealed carry, and someone just happened to know, a Karen just happened to feel a certain type of way, the treatment for that response for myself is at a level that I just don't want to take chances.
It puts you at a much higher risk of things going awry.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I might make it home that day. I might not.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be because I was exercising my constitutional, like, oh, well, yeah, sure. Maybe I'll push the needle forward. Some protests will happen, whatever. But, dude, I ain't trying to be the poster child for that movement. Like, I'm good there. Right?
I'm not trying to be the martyr.
Right? I've seen enough videos where, someone will take their M&P 15 Sport or AK-47 into some town where you could have open carry, and they got the permits, and they'll have the guy with the camera, I'm just oppressed, and then the guy will walk down the streets just exercising his right, right up until Karen decides that she wants to call the cops, and then the cops come, and I see the response. Right, and they'll do it. They'll have a white person do it. They'll have a black person do it. And you see the totally different responses, and record it. And I'm exercising my no, not me. I'm good. No. I ain't trying to thank you so much for doing that for me and others. But this country and people are just not ready to see citizens just strolling around carrying. It's just not what they're used to. So the reaction is overblown. You don't even have to have concealed. You could have a cell phone, candy bar, or whatever. And as soon as something happens, the first thing is, we found the gun.
Yeah.
Did you even ask? Was maybe he had the license for it? Right. Maybe he was a gun trainer and gun instructor. I don't know. He's just the first thing later, we found a weapon. We found drugs. It was what was it? It was weed. No, but you said found drugs. You didn't say found weed.
Yeah.
And why is that even whatever? You didn't say he had a licensed whatever, and we found the whatever in his home. You killed him out on the street, but now you search in his home, and that's where you found the gun, and that's what's on the news to discredit people. It's just so rough on that regard. So as much as I would love to apply and carry and do, I don't. It just sits at home and maybe at gun ranges, and maybe it's home defense should somebody decide that they want to mess with the household.
Yeah. Well, that'll be your bad boys moment.
Yeah.
Pull out the blicky.
Be like, which cannon today? And plus, we're not responsible, right? Everybody carries it, and then they go out to a bar, they get drunk, and then they get in a little argument, and right, that's what you're whipping out because you can't fight.
They're like, I'm not fighting.
Right? Yeah, I'm just going to use this. Or if I am fighting, then I thought he was reaching for it, or I'm losing the fight, so I'm going to reach for it.
Yeah.
It's just it's so silly. I probably wouldn't feel safe if everybody was walking around carrying. I get it. I've seen it in Texas. I've seen it in other places. I do own. But I don't know. I feel a different kind of safety, which is weird to say because someone asked me. I was in Brazil. I was in Rio, and I went to a favela, and I was partying from midnight till 5 o'clock in the morning. And gangsters are walking around with vests full of clips and grenades and guns and cannons and all kinds of stuff, and I felt safe. I was like, ain't nobody trying some dumb shit here.
Yeah.
You're not about to try some.
You got a grenade on your chest?
I know.
You are not stealing my phone and running because you ain't getting far. And the gangsters there are the police. They do run the place.
Yeah.
You don't do something without some higher up authorizing it.
Yeah.
They get revenue from tourists and people coming to that area and
they
buying
don't fuck
things.
up their money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Damn.
It was like someone else I know who lives in Tulum. He was like, yeah, there's cartels are there, but cartels don't fuck with the tourists. I saw him yesterday, and he was telling me, before he left, that the they killed one of the police captain out there. Just fucking sprayed him up. I was like, Bilotta? I was like, yeah. He's like, they don't fuck with the tourists. He's like, they're not trying to fuck up the money.
The police captain didn't accept a bribe. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like we gonna let you know who's boss.
But he's like, tourists,
No.
hands off. They're like, they're not fucking up the money.
No, because the minute that happens, an American tourist today was killed in Mexico. Blah, blah, blah. It's
forget
like,
it.
boop. People aren't going. Risk level goes up. It's not. I mean, they'll steal from you, like, but because it's like, well, I mean, hey, it's another country. We kind of expect that to happen. So we'll steal from a tourist in the tourist areas,
Right.
But in the favela, it was not a concern.
Yeah.
Not a concern. Like the tourist area, Copacabana, everyone's telling you don't leave your phone out. It'll get snatched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out there, I mean, granted, there was the rule, no cell phone use while it's a favela. I followed that shit strictly.
Yeah.
But it was the one place where if I wanted to wear a chain or have a nice watch, I wouldn't have a worry. Yeah, they're not trying to mess that up.
You have to put me on your mailing list when you're planning some of these trips. You gotta.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you know. I did. This was my first mancation, actually. Usually it's just me going on these trips.
Yeah.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Damn, this guy.
Yeah.
You're like the second person I know that's taking a vacation like that, and I'm like, yo, what am I missing? Oh,
I know.
You know what? Like, I used to hit people up. Hey, look, let's go here. And everyone's like, yeah, let's go. And then I'm like, all right, so when are we going? I don't know. You let me know. So I pick a date. Can you go? Yeah, we could go. And then time gets closer, and I'm like, all right, let's get our tickets. Nah, man, I can't go because, what about like 2 weeks from now? I'm like, sure. Right, 2 weeks from now, and then they would cancel. So then I would cancel, and I wouldn't go. And then I
Yeah.
found myself I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So then I switched it up. Now I buy my ticket, I get the flight, and then I tell you I'm going somewhere.
You're like, yo, you want to come
know?
through? What's up? This is what it is.
This is well enough notice, and then I still get, it's too far in advance. I don't know if I could plan like that. But then when it's too close, it's too close. I can't plan
Shit,
like
I gotta
that.
walk my dog.
So this was the first time I planned this trip a year in advance, and
Nice.
I told everybody about it. Once again, I thought I was just going solo, and then a couple weeks or about a month before, a bunch of people were like, "Oh, you still going?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, let's
Yeah.
go." So I was like, "Shit, I have this like little bedroom just for myself. Let me cancel that." And magically, we all made it. We were a little scattered. But yeah, it was the first trip that a bunch of folks showed up, and it was a pretty good time. I learned some things when planning trips with friends and whatnot, and everybody's individual personalities and thoughts and what they want to do, and so I'll learn from that. And the next one will be planned, a little bit better. But overall, it was good.
Yeah, I think traveling people is you have to find the right dynamics, and the right group of people to travel because people have different ideas of what vacation is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some people have full itineraries. Want this and this. Other people are like, I want to sit on a lounge chair or by a pool or on
Every
a beach
day.
and drink, and that's it.
Yeah.
And not do anything.
And I mean, it's that. It's food.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't eat that. I don't eat this. I don't eat this. It's age. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom again. We just left the bathroom. But I need to go again. But like you doing things, right?
Yeah.
So it's all of the personalities
Yeah.
between what someone's idea of a vacation is, anxieties. I mean, we try to do some things, and it's like, hey, are we gonna get there in time? Like, we should leave 20 hours early to get there. Like, I think we're running late. I was like, no, like, it's chill. Like,
2 days
we're
before.
good. Don't even worry about it. Like, you
Yeah.
get tickets? Yeah, no, we don't have tickets. Are you going to get tickets? It was just, dude, chill the fuck out. So it was all the personalities were coming out on that trip.
Yeah.
But like everybody had good intentions. They all had a good time, and I had a good time. Glad that they all came out and didn't give excuses.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's awesome.
Overall, it was some good times. But definitely some other places on the list. So I'll hit you up.
I know. I see some of your Instagram posts. I'm like, this motherfucker's always going somewhere. I'm like, I'm over here, like, spending 3 hours at Hunter's baseball practice, fucking staring at paint dry. I'm like, oh. But yeah, definitely Colombia.
Yeah, I got to go back. All those folks are reaching out to me like, hey, you coming back again? I see you going to other places. Let me know when you're coming back. I got you. Taxi, I'll take you anywhere. A tour guide, I'll be whatever.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
kinds of people reaching out. So
That's cool, man.
yeah, I definitely want to go back there. I probably had one of the best times out of all the places. I think Colombia was probably the greatest. There's a community. It's a couch surfing community. So I had went there and I posted to community that I'm in town, and I met up with a few locals. And I always like the local experience wherever
Yeah.
I go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to sit in a resort, look at a beach, and then come home. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me where you eat. That's where I want to go eat.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and where
Yeah.
you hanging out. That's where I want to go hang out. I don't want to go to this little tour thing. Like, no, I got that back home.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so this guy, so I stayed in Cartagena, and I stayed in the walled city. He took me out the walled city. We were partying in people's houses. We were all around everywhere. And then through hanging out with him, when I was going around solo, same like you were saying, right? Cartels, they ain't trying to mess with their money.
Yeah.
They're not trying to mess with the tourism industry. So if I was in a cab somewhere and I'm trying to get out, they'd be like, oh, hold on, wait, hold on. Called the place, door would open. They're like, oh, you could go now. I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. You know, and then I'm ready to leave the club, and they'd be like, no, wait, hold on. Where are you trying to go? I'm like, oh, I'm going here. Let me call you a cab. They'd call a cab.
Yeah.
I'd see the monitors looking at all over the place, and you know, and then when the cab would pull up, he'd go out. Okay, you come, get in the car, go, because in some areas, clubs close down 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then some people are like, yo, there's still a party going on. We can take you over here. And like, I don't know, where's over here?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
But then you hear from people like, no, it's okay. You could go. I'm like, all right. But now they're taking you like out of town where
You don't really
less
know what's
likely to
going
know
on.
that you're a tourist and something might happen. Some dude on a motorcycle. But they were looking out for me. I thought it was great. Nobody, your usual, like
Yeah.
theft, begging, whatever. But I get it. Look, you're fortunate enough to be able to get to some spot. This
Yeah.
dude's looking for their next meal. But I had a great time. The food was amazing. I ate like a king, and it cost very little, conversions. But yes, I'd definitely go back there again. Say the word.
And that's the place I want to go see. I think Cartagena, Medellin.
Yep.
Also, I also go to other places in South America, like Peru, Machu Picchu, kind of see some of the.
Yeah, I would love
Machu
to see
Picchu's
Machu
on the
Picchu.
list.
Yeah.
Definitely on the list. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So say the word, and I'll put that one as a priority. While I was in Colombia, I did want to go to the other places, and it's a short flight. It was like $50. But when you get back to your room at like 5, 6 o'clock, and the flight's at 7, you're just like, yeah, whatever.
You're like, fuck it. I need to sleep.
I was like, I'm not waking up, man. I just like it's just
Hell
not
no.
happening. It'll have to be some other time. So it'd be cool to go again, but this time maybe land in one of those other places, hang
Yeah.
out, and then make my way to Cartagena and spend my time there.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Cool.
say the word on Machu Picchu, and I'm
We'll
there.
do a podcast from Machu Picchu.
Yo, I would
right,
love to
yeah,
do
right
it.
up there.
You know, actually, like something that I was really thinking about, and I've been talking to you. I think we had another friend of mine, Tanoi, come on, and he had such a good idea, and even someone else mentioned it about like creating like father-son groups, and where it's almost like something that it's kind of like I feel like you and I have been friends for such a long time, and like kind of even before we had kids.
Yeah.
And something that resounds to me is like something that even my other friend Jonathan mentioned is I realize now one of the things that I sometimes lack or I see is like the ability for my son to be around other men that are not me, that are influences. Because ultimately that's like, and sometimes you get that from a coach. I think when my son was doing Muay Thai, he got that from one of the coaches there. There's one coach, Joel, who was on the podcast, who like to this day, my son will fucking like walk through fire to if you spend time with Joel. But because sometimes it's hard as a father to tell your kid something, and then even I realize now I can't teach my son a lot of things. If he's interested, I could help him. But if I say anything that's like try to critique him or correct it, he takes it very personal. And the way he receives it is much different. It's like, and we both get frustrated with each other. Whereas I see like other people, like a third party will say something, the way he accepts it is totally different. And I'm sure it's also because there's a different emotional dynamic with them. So creating like a group of like other dads or whatever, especially I think one of the things I read this book that actually like I'm in the middle of it now called Of Boys and Men. And it's a way it talks about like how fathers and men and boys, the way I think there's a steady decline in the rate of how men are or boys are how well they do in school is on the decline, and girls seem to be rising above, and boys seem to be on the decline. There's also a decline in men graduating higher learning, and also in most fields, women are on the uptick or getting more jobs. The only field where it's not following that same trend is in STEM jobs. But it's not just initially I thought it was just the U.S. because of our educational system. This book says no, it's around the world. Even Europe is starting to address it because they're starting to see the same trend, and they're realizing physiologically how like sometimes boys develop the way their brain develops is different than the way girls do because evolutionary men are more men of action, more action based, more response based because that was how evolutionary we thrived where men were hunter and gathering protectors and women were sort of like the rearing the children, cooking, gathering, doing stuff, like domestic, duties. So their social skills developed much faster than men, where men or boys were more inclined to more physical, more action-based things. So something I've been trying to figure out is how to create a community of fathers and men to support each other and our boys to thrive. And I was like, wanted to mention it to you. I think I'm going to kind of reconnect with my other friend Tawiah and Jonathan and kind of create this circle of I think also becomes this thing where it's not just social, but even like an economical thing where men are looking out if I have a son he has no interest in what I want to do, but he might be interested in my friend who's owned a bunch of barbershops. To be a barber, all right, go learn from him. Yeah. You're not interested in what I do. I can't really impart any knowledge because you have no interest in it. All right, there's someone else that I know that you might be interested in. I have another friend who's an instructor for United who teaches all the airplane mechanics. He flies all over the world and teaches the mechanics on how to fix the planes. I was like, you're interested in that? Okay, go with him. Learn from him and build this network of people where you can tap. Oh, my son might be interested. Do you think you get him in somewhere? So it's create this resource or community of fathers, specifically fathers of color. Yeah. To kind of help develop and help all of our sons thrive. So I don't know if you'd be down, but yeah, definitely put you down with that. Yeah.
Definitely down. I appreciate that. I like that. I know that my neighborhood, there's not a lot of color running around. So I've taken it upon myself that whenever I do see someone, I just roll up on them. Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Let me get your number.
Are they
after the initial shock runs down, why is this dude approaching,
you live here too?
Look, I've even done it to females too, and I'll preface it quick, but oh, my wife's over there. But introduce myself, and I've started this, I've started a WhatsApp group where anyone who I meet, I add them in if they're, and then introduce them to the group, and it's been good in the sense of one, we meet up and we'll have lunch, maybe we'll have dinner, we do an annual barbecue. Nice. But the greatest part for me is for my kids to be able to see people that are doing well,
that look like them.
That look like them. Yes. There you go. And then these guys have their kids, and the kids hang out together, and they know each other. Yeah. And then now when they go to school, they see each other. I'm like, look out for each other. Right? You definitely ain't fighting each other because I know dude's dad, and we go hanging out. So this is not going to be a good conversation. So, but then they're friends and they hang out in school, and that has been very beneficial.
You can create a community and like safety net for each other.
Yep. So then I guess the next level iteration of that is now, all right, as you're interested in things, this dude's dad or this one's mom does that. Why don't you go over, have a talk with them, sit down with them. Yeah. So
I think that's awesome. It's something that when Tony mentioned it, I was like, such a good idea, and I want to reach out to him and kind of and foster it. I think. For me, I feel like doing this podcast, and building and just talking to other people and talking to other dads made me realize the importance of community and how not only does it benefit me as my own personal development, but also there's an opportunity for it to benefit my son and the way he develops and what opportunities he has, and not just financial, but just emotional and just psychological to be around other people and just not be in this and whatever's stuck in whatever he's just stuck in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. No, very much so. I'm down. I'm game.
That's what's up.
All right.
Okay. Listen, man, we're going to wrap this up, but it's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you, Eugene, man, for all your insight, for being a guest. And thank you, man. Thank you. Hopefully we'll have you back in episode 100. Or
Damn, that's so far away, man. What's going on? Shit.
We got to give these dads an opportunity.
And I know, I mean, it's unfortunate. I feel like me and Eugene have known each other for so many years, and I think we've only really hung out a handful of times. I really, on my part, honestly, I want to make more of an effort to kind of like make those connections and link up. I'm like really bad with it. I think sometimes I get so inundated with my own task or a list of things I got to do that like my own whatever gets deprioritized. But I think I'm realizing now that I have to develop myself beyond my role as just a father, and and find that person that I was before this, and not forget about that person. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be great for it. And also I want I think you invited me to one of your barbecues many years ago, but I'm not sure if I made it or I'm not sure what happened. But yeah, I didn't make it. But let me know.
Definitely will do. There was a period of time, I think COVID messed things up.
Yeah.
And it kind of broke me out of that cycle. I used to do it every year.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely looking to get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
However, then I've also engaged on this traveling the nation thing, which
Yeah.
we do every summer. So
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll definitely look to do that. And I agree. Thank you guys for having me. This has been fun. It's been great.
Mm-hmm.
Cool to. This is my first one to just talk more on the personal side and less on the work, which traditionally for me, every move, every conversation just kind of quickly goes there or is about that. But just to reflect on the things that drive why I even get up and go to work and what it's all for.
Well, I think
and
it's
reflect
fun.
on that.
I think that the unfortunate part is, as men, I think we're always trying to like what our roles are as providers, as this, but it's almost like I said, you deprioritize your own self as like and your role as like just a man, as a human, as whatever. And I think that's why I really want like I mean, we all can talk about work, and there's times I talk about work, and when you need to ask questions, there's times like I don't care if people do it for a living.
Yeah.
When I meet other dads, like, what are you doing? I'm like,
Yeah.
I just want to just talk with you about
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean? And I hate small talk too.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have like some meaningful conversation. Tell me whatever, tell me what's going on with your kid, or whatever,
Yeah.
any challenges you had, or whatever. If you get to that point, if we build that rapport, I don't care that you're a lawyer and you're this or that or whatever. Like
That stuff is draining, honestly. Yeah. So this is a good amount of therapy as well.
Yeah.
It causes you to think back too, right? As you're saying things and you're hearing other perspectives, and it's just like, okay,
You're reflecting.
we're struggling from the same things, we're handling it similar, different, or just all the perspectives. I think all of that go really well. So I definitely appreciate that, and knowing that even on some of the challenges that I'm not alone.
yeah, exactly. We're not alone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hard part. A lot of times as men, we always feel like, and you don't talk about it because you feel like you don't want to burden anybody else with your own whatever. But you realize, shit, sometimes you need to hear it to know, like, all right, like I'm going through my shit, but I'm not the only one. And there's people out there that can tap into.
Yeah, that's right. You don't hear it from anyone else, but even, I know we're trying to wrap it up. So this is my last comment.
No,
but,
that's good.
even resources online aren't in our favor. I remember, I felt like I was going through decision fatigue, man of the house fatigue, where just keeping track of all that was going on with the kids and the household and the fix this, do this, make a decision here, and whatever. And I was just like, yo, this is just too much on me. I don't want this load. I'm tired of can somebody just do it for me? I don't want to do this anymore. And I went online just searching for coping mechanisms, and everything was female based.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the hashtags, all the whatever was as a female, your experience. I'm like, no, I am where's the me, who's experiencing it because of the role that's in the household. I get y'all females got your problems and things, but we don't have any.
Yeah.
We have some too.
Yeah.
And I want some things to read about my position and how to deal and handle and cope with, and there's nothing.
Yeah, and that's what I found also. I felt like a lot of times I was at a loss because of my lack of point of reference on parenting. I felt like I was at a loss all the time, and I felt like every single decision afterward, that's probably the wrong decision, and it just weighed on me. I'm like, I'm making these wrong decisions, and I'm just and I felt like in my heart, I was like, I'm gonna ultimately fuck up my kid because I feel like I'm just fucking up. So, and there are no resources out there. You're right, but that also goes back to what I was talking about before. How and it's a conversation I had. I know we're trying to wrap up, but fuck it, whatever. I don't care.
We got 99 hours left, so good.
So like, I was, having a conversation with my girlfriend, and we are talking about raising boys and raising girls, and the experience is so different. And like, and my perspective was only from having a boy, but now I see how the world interacts with her. She has this beautiful daughter who's really smart and capricious, and like, and the world interacts so differently with her than with boys. And I realized a lot of the stuff that, we had this conversation. I was like, I realize now that growing up, I was always taught, like, this is the way you treat a woman. You with respect. You never, respect their body. Do this. You take care of your women. You protect your women. I was like, but I don't ever recall anyone ever or hearing any woman tell or anyone tell a girl, this is how you treat your man. And I think for so many years, and I think there's the issue with equality and like, in the workplace and this and that, whatever. But I think that's contributed to the issue where the roles of men have shifted, and now we don't know where men don't really know where we fit, and we're sort of at a loss. But there's no resource because everything's like girl power, girl power, girl power, and like I'm all for equality, but at some point I'm like, hey, the boys need some guidance as well, and it's not just your role is to look out for the girl. Is like, and then also in relationships, how does that translate back to the boy? Like, what are they getting in return for what society has, the expectations that society has put on them?
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
So,
cool.
But yeah, and that's it. Once again, I got on my soapbox.
Thank you.
Another great
Eugene,
episode. Thanks again,
man.
Eugene.
Really great, and also really great to see you. Also, it's been a minute.
Likewise. That's right.
All right, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Friendly reminder: take care of yourself. Reach out to those who haven't reached out to in a while, and I don't know. Any wise words before we go?
No, you said it right there.
There you
reach
go.
out to those you haven't reached out to. You never know, and when somebody says something, listen.
Yeah. I know. So yeah, exactly. And thank you again Eugene again, and thank you everyone for listening. And we'll catch you again in the next episode.
Next episode.
The Full Dad Bodcast.
See you guys. Peace.